now playing at a ballpark near you. Get up and go.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
The Game of the Week is brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you the new Eclipse Sports Coupe. See it at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Extra Gold Draft, the beer with a big, bold, full-tilt taste. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Midas. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
There's a look at the Metrodome here in Minneapolis. We're in the last half of the second inning. The Milwaukee Brewers and the Minnesota Twins. We join the ball game in progress. The Twins out in front 1-0. We're in the last half of the second inning. 1 out. Brian Harper, the runner at first base, and the batter is the 9th place hitter, Tim Laudner, hitting against left-handed Ted Higuera. This is John Miller, along with Jim Cott. The Twins scoring in the first inning. After 2 were down, Kirby Puckett doubled, and Gaetti singled him home to make it 1-0, and that's where we are. Pitching for the Twins, right-hander Roy Smith. Great big crowd here at the Metrodome today. We may have 40,000 or more than that. A beautiful day outdoors, but have a great affection for the Twins indoors here in Minnesota, regardless of the weather outside. 1-2 the count to Tim Laudner. Both of these ball clubs, as you see the huge crowd that has gathered here, both of these ball clubs have been stumbling. The Twins, many thought they could supplant the A's atop the American League West, and yet their record 30-34. They're 11 games out. The Brewers, a lot of people figure the Brewers could win the East, but their record 31-34. But their situation not quite as desperate as that of the Twins, because in the East, 31-34 has you right in the middle of things.
You know, they're both stumbling, John, but against one another. The Twins are the ones that are stumbling. The Brewers have not lost to them yet this year. They're 6-0 against the Twins.
2-2 the count to Laudner. And the curveball misses. 3-2 the count. And Ted Higuera out there on the mound, and the Brewers need him to be there and to be strong from here until the end of the year if they're going to have a shot at it. He's been pitching awfully well of late. He had back surgery and got off to a slow start when he finally did rejoin the rotation.
Yeah, their pitching staff last year made such great improvement from 1987, and going into this year, there were some question marks, Juan Nieves and Higuera being 2 of them, but the Brewers thought they'd both be healthy by maybe 1st of May.
There goes Brian Harper, the runner at first, but the ball is fouled back, and the count is 3-2 to Tim Laudner. The leadoff man, Al Newman, is on deck.
You know, back in 85 and 86, Teddy Higuera relied on the screwball to go along with a fastball. Now this is what you see a lot of right there. Good fastballs. Laudner fouls it off. He'll throw you a curve, a slider, and a straight change, but he has abandoned the screwball and continues to have success without it.
3-2 the count. Our local stations around the country will be going to a station break right at the end of this inning. We've got 1 out, 1 on, as Laudner again fouls it away. 3 balls, 2 strikes the count. Higuera has only won 1 ball game, but he has pitched well. Everybody with the Brewers saying that his best ball game was in New York a couple of starts ago, but he pitched awfully well in his last start this past Sunday in Baltimore. 7 innings, allowing just 1 unearned run, and he did not get the decision. He left in a 1-1 tie, but he's been building himself up all the while. Again, the runner goes, and again the ball is pulled foul by big Tim Laudner. 3-2.
Yeah, when they went into this season, they had Higuera, Nieves, Wegman, Birkbeck kind of penciled in as their starters. Birkbeck's in the minor leagues. Wegman's on the disabled list. Nieves just had arthroscopic surgery on his shoulder. So now Don August is in that rotation. They've purchased Bill Krubert. They've got a completely reworked pitching staff from what they planned.
Again, Harper runs, and this time Higuera misses. Ball 4. So Laudner coaxes a walk out of Higuera, and he worked hard to get it. 2 men on.
You know the thing that Higuera, you know, they've made 1 trip to the mound already, but that was not an official trip. Tom Trebelhorn wanted to check Higuera's physical condition. It's not the back or the shoulder, but in his warm-up start, between starts, his warm-up period, he twisted an ankle, caught it on the pitching rubber. So his ankle on the push-off foot is, I think, the reason that Higuera might be struggling a little with his control early on.
We got a delay here because a beach ball came out onto the field in left field, and the The ball boy down there in the bullpen area for the Twins went out and retrieved it. 1 out, and the Twins, who already lead 1-0, are threatening again. Here is Albert D. Newman. Switch hitting second baseman. Little looper into left field, but Bragg's coming in a hurry. Dives and gets it. Throw back to second, and they have doubled up Brian Harper. The side is retired. So Braggs with the excellent catch and then the strong throw to double up Harper. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday on Disney.
Davy Crockett's come back.
Can he calm a town's fears? It's an all-new earth-shaking adventure.
No question about it.
Davy Crockett, Sunday.
Get a car, yes a car, get a superstar car from the used car superstar Orby. Get a good used car from the supercar star, the used car superstar Orby. Orby.
Ford, Chevys, Cadillacs, Toyota, Pontiac, Mercury. Oh, yeah! Choose from over 100 premium used cars and trucks at the used car superstar Orby.
Get a car, yes a car, get a superstar car from the used car superstar Orby. Get a good used car from the supercar star, the used car superstar Orby. Orby.
Whether they got their hits years ago or just last year, all your favorite baseball players are at ABC Collectibles. With over 1 million cards, you'll find ball players you never heard of before. But there's more, like superheroes of all kinds. Batman, Superman, and the X-Men. Original issues of your favorite comic books dating back over 50 years. Plus, ABC Collectibles has a music record collection of over 20,000 used albums and 45s. From heroes to villains to pop stars, they all can be found at ABC Collectibles in Moline.
Who uses Valvoline motor oil? People like leading race car driver Al Unser Jr.
If a driver ever told you, no, I don't get scared, I'm not scared, he's lying to you. The technology that goes into the Indy car is second to none. Over half the field at Indy is using Valvoline. If there was a motor oil out there that was better, it would be in my car.
People who know use Valvoline.
Join Ron Elke and Carolyn Whetstone tonight at 6.
The second inning, Glenn Braggs didn't get a good jump on that ball, but now here is a base running mistake. Brian Harper with the ball right in front of him gets doubled off to end the inning. Two things, John. You don't make the third out at third base, but also on that play, you only go far enough so you know if he catches it like that, you can get back, took the Twins out of a possible scoring chance.
And Jim Gantner taking the throw from Braggs. Once he was able to recover from the late break, he makes the nice catch and the strong throw. Here is Mike Felder, switch hitting center fielder, batting left-handed, and Roy Smith, number 23, the starter for the Twins, delivers ball one. 1-0, Minnesota out in front. Felder, the 8th place hitter. Jim Gantner and Paul Molitor will follow. And Dean Larkin, the first baseman, takes that one away.
The Game of the Week is brought to you by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more?
From the Metrodome, John Miller and Jim Cott. 1-0 Minnesota. Here is Jim Gantner. He takes a called strike. It is 0-1. Gantner, the 9th place hitter, batting .244. A steady performer over the years for Milwaukee. That one is fouled back. 2 strikes. Now Roy Smith, kind of an emergency replacement starter today. Shane Raleigh was scheduled to pitch and is ill. And Roy Smith is pitching in short rest.
Pitched on Wednesday night, 5 innings through 79 pitches.
1-2.
And I think mentally when a pitcher comes back on short rest like that, and I like to see it because what he says, I'm not going to waste many pitches. Throw a lot of strikes.
And he misses with the changeup. 2-2 the count.
You know, we're so pitch count conscious today. You know, every game, this guy threw 80 pitches through 6 innings. Now, years ago, you remember people keeping that close track of how many pitches pitchers threw?
Foul ball. 2-2 the count.
But now they monitor that. And so in Roy Smith's case, if he gets up around that 70 to 80 pitch mark through the 5th inning again, he's probably going to come out of the ball game. So if you're Roy Smith, you say, hey, I'm going to maximize this opportunity. I'm going to throw as many strikes as I can.
2-2 pitch. That was awfully close. 3-2 the count. Terry Cooney is the home plate umpire with Darrell Cousins, Tim McClelland, and Joe Brinkman working the bases from first base over to third base. 3-2 to Jim Gantner. Paul Molitor is on deck. Roy Smith was a fastball and curveball. Kirby Puckett in center field is right there. Out number 2. Gaetti retired. The Minnesota Twins, 11 games out, and they've had a hard time getting things together. Frank Viola got off to the terrible start. And Jimmy really still hasn't been the Viola of old. He's shown signs of it. His record 4-8. But as soon as he has the strong outing that brings back memories of last year's Cy Young season, it seems like he comes back and isn't the same.
Yeah, he hasn't put not the consistency together yet.
Here's Paul Molitor, and he flied out to shallow right his first time, ball 1.
Yeah, he's given up 9 home runs, but 7 of those were in April, so he's obviously pitched much better. But still, that one pitch or a couple of hitters late in the ball game, where last year he was making the great pitches to polish them off and win the game. This year, it's taking him out of the game.
Roy Smith has been in that rotation all year. His record 4-3. He's pitched fairly well overall. 1 ball and no strikes. That curve bounces in there. 2-0. Paul Molitor, 32 years of age, came into this game with a batting average of .294. 2-0 the count. And ball 3. Molitor complaining, though, that he just hasn't been consistent. He opened the season in the disabled list, but has been completely healthy since coming back, and yet has been real streaky. 3-0 the count.
That's kind of a key word with both of these ball clubs. If you talk to the managers, the players, people that follow them, they'll say, yeah, they'll go on a roll, win 3 games, look like they're really going to put it together, and then they fall back.
And Molitor has drawn the walk.
Well, you see Roy Smith right there looking at Terry Cooney, and you're not seeing a good, consistent effort. In fact, Tom Kelly is going to come out right now. And what I have seen so often in these cases, a manager will get to the mound, and you've seen it too, he will wait and see once whether that home plate umpire won't make a trip out to the mound and get his point across. TK is probably saying, look, the guy's not going to give you the corner pitches or the low pitches. He's proved that. So just go right after him, see what happens. Make him hit it, see if we can catch it.
Tom Kelly, kind of a beleaguered manager these days. The Twins have been wasting. And by the way, here comes Cooney. He's on his way to the mound right now.
Well, let's see if TK has a little word with him. No, not going to say a word to it. Oftentimes, those are the opportunities when managers will use that, because the umpiring this year and all the years I've followed baseball is the most inconsistent I've ever seen from game to game as to what the strike zone is.
2 down, Molitor at first, and Molitor, of course, always a threat to try and steal a base, and Smith throws over there. Molitor has stolen only 7 bases this year and has been caught trying 6 times. The Brewers, though, as a team, particularly the last month or so, have been running at every opportunity. 1-0 Minnesota ahead, and Robin Yount takes ball 1. Now, Robin Yount, an Iron Man, finally missed a ball game. In fact, missed the last 2 ball games after playing in 276 consecutive games. He crashed into the fence the other day in Milwaukee, injuring his knee, but he's back in there today, playing at about 80%. There's a called strike, 1-1 Yount. According to his manager, Tom Treblehorn, they had to put him back in there because having him on the bench was driving everybody nuts.
Same way as Ken Herbeck for Minnesota. They want to play so badly. Drive you crazy sitting on the bench.
There's Tom Treblehorn, young manager of the Brewers. Very highly thought of around baseball. They said, Treblehorn said that Yount last night here at the Metrodome, they've got a long, long stairway that goes up from the dugout to the clubhouse. And Yount was up there at the bottom of the stairway, throwing a baseball to the top of the stairway and waiting for it to come back down. And a couple of times the ball even came back down and rolled right past Molitor out onto the field. They had to stop the game and retrieve the ball. He said right then, we said, we've got to get him out of here and back on that field. Robin Yount.
Running situation right here with Molitor at first in the 2-1 count.
He's not running. Kirby Puckett can't get it. So Robin Yount with a single to center. He had walked his first time, so he's aboard again. 2 on, 2 out. All of this started after 2 down, and here is the young shortstop, Gary Sheffield, coming up. The 2 veterans out of the bases, and as has so often happened over the years, they're the ones that get it going.
But Jerry White, a new coach that the Twins have added to their coaching staff, is trying to work with Kirby Puckett. He's a great center fielder, gold glove center fielder, but he plays a very deep center field. And that ball right there, an example of a would-be out that falls in for a base hit.
Here is Sheffield hitting .260, but he's been particularly tough on the Twins this year. There's ball one.
There's Kirby right there against Gary Sheffield playing now. Go back over the years, the great center fielders, Paul Blair, Gary Maddox, Willie Mays, guys that can play shallow and still have the ability to go back.
This is a slow curveball, swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sheffield popped to short his first time.
Roy Smith will give you a fastball, slow curve, and a change of speeds. And there's the big overhand slow curve. That is his best pitch.
The outfield plays straight away for Sheffield. 1-0 Twins ahead. 2 out, 2 on. High pop-up. Gaetti is zeroed in on this one. Out number 3. A hit, a walk, 2 men left. We've played 2.5 in Minneapolis. 1-0 the Twins over the Brewers.
Astronomers tell us there won't be a total eclipse in America until the year 2017. They are very much mistaken. This is the year of the eclipse. Introducing the Eclipse GS Turbo by Mitsubishi. Try not to stare.
You're looking at an accident that never happened. Because as America's largest insurer for workers' compensation, Liberty Mutual has done more to help prevent injuries on the job than any other insurance company. Caring for people is why America believes in liberty.
Great view, huh?
America believes in liberty. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Somewhere there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cured my athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Miconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Hey!
I'm giving away advice, not Micatin.
Say, what you got for my athlete's foot?
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cures athlete's foot. There's even a deodorant Micatin.
Then I'll take the Micatin. To go.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Micatin. Look for new economy-size powder.
You've just discovered your car has a clear coat finish, which your ordinary wax just ruined. New Simonized non-abrasive wax won't scratch today's clear coat finishes, and that'll save you a lot of grief.
The product. The vehicles. The testing grounds. The results. STP oil treatment is the edge.
Back here at the Metrodome, I'm John Miller along with Jim Cott. The Twins and the Brewers going at it here. And the Twins have not been able to beat the Brewers. How come?
Well, I don't know. There's something about these battles between these two ball clubs. And I think one of the big reasons, John, the Brewers have out-homered the Twins 12-2 in the 6 games.
Well, here we go in the last of the 3rd inning. The Twins leading 1-0, and Dan Gladden thrown out by Sheffield. Pretty good play by the young shortstop from deep in the hole.
And he's just back in there at short. He's been suffering from a thigh injury. And Phil Spires had filled in at shortstop, as well as Gus Polidor. Sheffield last night was the DH, but now back at his regular position, along with Ken Griffey Jr., probably 2 of the best, if not the 2 best young players in the league today.
The Orioles ahead of Oakland 4-2, last of the 8th in Baltimore after the rain delay. California, another victory over Detroit. Toronto edging Seattle again. 3-2 up at the Sky Dome. Kirby Puckett with a foul. Kirby with 2 down and nobody out in the 1st inning. Hit a double on the first pitch from Higuera. And moments later, Gary Gaetti, who was on deck, brought him home. Kirby with that .327 batting average. But look at the home runs. Only 4 and only 30 RBIs. Kirby has only hit 1 home run in the last 40-something games and has driven in only 2 runs in the last 16 games that he's played. 0-2 the count. Jim Cott, Kirby Puckett, 121 RBIs last year. He's been a big home run producer the last few years. What's happened?
Well, you go back to his early years, he was not a home run hitter. He only hit 4 home runs his first 2 years in the big leagues, none in his first. And I think one of the reasons, you look at the power hitters, they've got that classic stroke where they lift the ball. Will Clark's name comes to mind. Kirby kind of hacks down on the ball. He gets his home runs by accident. Gets more line drive, ground ball type hits.
1-2, and he strikes him out. Higuera strikes out Kirby Puckett. The third strikeout for Higuera. 2 down in the third. And the batter will be Gary Gaetti. And Higuera, one of the outstanding pitchers in the game, and yet he is very little known outside of Milwaukee.
I think if the Brewers put it together and win that division, we'll see a little more notoriety for a guy. He's one of those guys that finishes second or third in the Cy Young Award every year.
An off-speed pitch, fouled.
But if you've got guys like Clemens and Stewart and last year Viola, then a guy like Teddy Higuera is going to get overlooked just a little bit, and he has.
Higuera allowed fewer base runners, hits and walks added together per 9 innings than any other American League pitcher last year, including Viola, Clemens, and the rest of them. Molitor off the bag, but the tag by Greg Brock retires Gaetti. 3 up and 3 down for the Twins. And we're a third of the way through it. 1-0 Minnesota.
If you're a business spending over $120 a month in long-distance services, and you think that you're saving 20 to 30% with another carrier, we want you to try AT&T Pro Watts. We'll waive the installation charges, waive the change charges, and if you're not satisfied and agree that we have the best value, price, and quality, at the end of 90 days, we'll pay to put you back on your other long-distance vendor.
Save 10 to 26% or more on AT&T long distance. Call now.
Astronomers tell us there won't be a total eclipse in America until the year 2017. They are very much mistaken. This is the year of the eclipse. Introducing the Eclipse by Mitsubishi. Try not to stare.
There are a number of ways to get a safer ride, like always fasten your seat belt.
Seat belt?
And never ride on worn shocks and struts. They can allow your tires to lose contact with the road, resulting in a loss of control and braking. Get a new set of Monroe Gasmatic shocks and struts. They help your vehicle hold the road.
Hey, I feel safer already. So do I.
For a smoother, safer ride, America rides Monroe.
Fancy perfumey aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback's locker.
Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva, man.
So you still think linemen are dumb?
Good friends and good food, but my stomach aches. My party. And Mylanta 2.
Double strength Mylanta 2 with nearly double the acid neutralizing power of any leading regular strength brand.
Because my life takes Mylanta 2.
Top of the 4th inning at the Metrodome. Glenn Braggs, the cleanup hitter, will lead it off for the Twins. Greg Brock and Rob Deere will follow. Look at those numbers for Braggs. He's been hitting awfully well, particularly the last 15, 16 days as Roy Smith delivers ball 1. And you notice that Braggs is wearing the glasses. He didn't wear them until about 15 days ago.
Started June 2nd, right after. The amazing thing, John, is he started wearing glasses because he wasn't picking up the ball in the outfield very well. Now he puts them on. He says, at the plate, I see the ball clear. Went 18 for 35. First 35 at-bats after wearing them in the graphic we just showed you. Gives you an idea of the positive effect they've had on him.
Big, strong, right-handed hitter. The Brewers have always expected that one day Braggs is going to bust out and become a superstar. There's a fly ball to shallow right. Castillo broke back in the ball. Now comes in. And Braggs is out number 1.
Yeah, evidence of that is you go back to 1985, the top prospect in the minor leagues, it was Glenn Braggs. Double-A ball. You know who was in Double-A ball the same year? Jose Canseco. That's what they thought of this guy. And he's just not developed quite as quickly as Canseco.
Well, he's got some of the same abilities. He's got the great power. He has great speed. He can steal bases. Here's Greg Brock, left-handed hitter, and he looks at a called strike on 1. Or rather Glenn Braggs, talking about wearing the glasses. Tom Trebelhorn says he has mixed feelings about the results. There's a called strike. He's very happy to see him hitting, but he's not so sure it's the result of the glasses. as it is perhaps the fact that Braggs has shortened his stroke a little bit, which makes him a much more effective hitter.
Well, he admits that the glasses are probably psychologically they help him at the plate, but hey, who cares? I mean, if I was a hitter, I'd wear magnifying glasses if I get by with it. Anything will make the ball look bigger.
1-2 the count to Brock. He was hit by a pitch his first time. He had the winning hit here last night. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. He was up against left-handed Gary Wayne and just blooped one right along the left field line and hit the foul line. And he goes to left field again. A nice play by Gaetti. He got it. Greg Brock, in his National League days, did not very often go to the left side. He was just a dead pull hitter. And he's been going that way recently.
Last year, Gaetti won his 3rd straight Gold Glove. Watch the reactions right here. And when Herbeck is healthy at first base, there is no better combination of power and defense at first and third than Gaetti and Herbeck.
2 down, nobody on, and Gary Gaetti doing it. They expect that from him here in Minnesota. He's been doing it for so many years so very well.
Yeah, you know, he and Herbeck, between them last year, only made 10 errors. Twins set an all-time record for fewest errors, highest fielding percentage.
Rob Deere, big home run hitter. He's got a little bit of a different look. Watch that front foot. Strike 1.
Yeah, we're used to seeing that when Kirby Puckett is at the plate. He has that famous leg kick, but Rob Deere started it this year to try to weight back on the off-speed pitches.
Popped up. And back into shallow right field is Larkin, the first baseman, for the catch. So, Roy Smith, so far so good on short rest. 4 shutout innings. 1-0 Minnesota.
To prove how long Rain Dance car wax lasts, just add water. Rain Dance, the longest lasting protection you can buy.
Hi, I'm a window sticker. And now that I work for Toyota, I'm a very popular guy. How you doing? Hi there. Because while Toyota lets the sticker do the talking, factory-to-dealer incentives and extra value packages mean it's a great time to deal. So come into your Toyota dealer now and find out why I'm not the only one stuck on Toyotas. Whoa. One of the hazards of being so appealing.
Some people still haven't tried A&W cream soda. We know who you are.
Trish, have you seen my blue shirt? Hi, I'm going to be living with you until you try an A&W cream soda. Trish! It's so smooth and mellow. Ooh-wee. Do I smell dinner? Who's that?
So you have a choice. Try a regular or diet A&W cream soda. Or try living with this man. Pour yourself an A&W cream soda.
You know, there are a lot of places where you can look for an auto part. But here's where you'll find it. Napa has parts for imports and other hard-to-find parts. So come to Napa first. We've got your part.
Americans buy lots of imported cars. Isn't it nice to know that Napa has the parts right here when you need them? Don't miss the boat on parts for imports. Come to Napa.
A panoramic view from the center field camera of the huge crowd at the Metrodome on this Saturday afternoon as the Twins come to bat. Last of the 4th, leading 1-0 over Ted Higuera and the Milwaukee Brewers. Larkin, Castillo, and Harper coming up. 1 run and 3 hits for Minnesota. No runs and 1 hit for Milwaukee. Kevin Mitchell out in San Francisco, number 24 already. 5-1 the Giants over the Reds. Larkin, a switch hitter batting right-handed, walked his first time. Ball 1.
Well, they're starting to talk Ruth, Maris, and Aaron. When you look at Kevin Mitchell, you start computing those home run totals out over the season. That'll be into the 60s.
Here's a called strike, 1-1. Mitchell's best home run total ever before, I think, was 22 for 1 year. He hit 19 last year, but he has really gotten it going. 1-1 the count. And ball 2. 2-1. Kevin Mitchell, as they do compare him now with the Maris and Ruth totals for a single season, but has been offset over the years. Whatever your totals are against Ruth hit 17 in September. That's where he catches and passes everybody. Little pop fly. Braggs is not going to be able to get to this one. Base hit for Gene Larkin. Now let's go to New York and Gail Gardner.
All right, John, as you just mentioned, the Giants extend their lead over the Reds at Candlestick. Bottom of the third, Danny Jackson pitching. Kevin Mitchell homers with Will Clark aboard for Kevin Mitchell. His 24th puts him in a 58 home run pace right now. Giants lead the Reds 5-1 in the fourth. Let's go back to John and Jim in Minnesota.
All right, thank you, Gail. Kevin Mitchell, what a story. The Giants have a lot of intriguing stories right now. Statistically, they got some of the best in many categories in the National League. There's a changeup from Higuera to Carmen Castillo for ball 1.
Big Daddy, a right-hand pitcher that many teams had given up on over the years, Rick Russell. Double-digit wins already.
And he was looking for number 12 last night, and the bullpen gave it up in the 9th inning. Russell had a lead in the 9th, and the bullpen couldn't hold it. Fouled out of play off to the right. 1-1 the count to Castillo. He struck out looking his first time.
You know, the home run total we were talking about, John, and you refer back to Kirby Puckett. I don't really think home run hitters, unless you're a guy that hits 30 year after year. Now, here's a guy who lifts the ball, Carmen Castillo. Grand slam earlier this year off left-hander Guillermo Hernandez, and that's where Tom Kelly uses Castillo against left-hand pitching. But I don't even think home run hitters can explain why they go through those periods of time where the home runs just don't come.
1 ball, 1 strike, nobody out, runner at first. Fouled back to the screen. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and the helmet stayed on a little bit better that time for Castillo than it did the pitch before.
You know, there's one thing we do have to take into consideration. We start talking about home run hitters. Let's go back to 87. Brooke Jacoby from Cleveland hit over 30. Hasn't been close since. The ball in 87 was juiced up, and everybody had high home run totals. Since then, got to look at hitters in a little different light when it comes to home runs.
Although Brooke Jacoby had hit some high home run totals in the past before that year, and was off to a very good start this year with home run hitting, although he's gone about a month or so without one now. But he had 9 early on, was right there among the league leaders. How about Mickey Templeton this year? Last year he set his all-time record with 11. Now he leads the American League with 16.
You talk about a guy with a classic power swing, that all or nothing type of swing where he hits the ball in the air.
1-2 the count, low and inside. 2-2 the count. And on the same ball club, Mickey Templeton's got the 16, astounding everyone. Cal Ripken, who's always been between 25 and 30 homers. Cal has hit 2 the last couple of days and only has 6 all year on the same ball club, facing the same pitchers. There's the changeup from Higuera, and Castillo could not hold up on that one. Strikeout number 4 for Higuera, 1 away.
Well, he's abandoned the screwball, but he still has the outstanding changeup and slow curve. In fact, that looked like it could have been a change or a slow curve. Both had the same action right at the end, kind of backdoored outside part of the plate to Castillo. Wish I had a changeup like that when I pitched.
Well, in your day, pitchers just didn't throw changeups.
Well, you're right. You know, the changeup today is a dominant pitch. Talk about Frank Viola right here in Minnesota, Higuera. Years ago, a change was just something to throw when your fastball wasn't too good.
Here's Brian Harper. He singled his first time. Hits this one well, but to the wrong part of this ballpark. Very spacious out there, particularly in center and left center. And 2 men are gone. Larkin having to hold at first base. I thought it was because in your day, Jim, it just wasn't manly to throw a changeup.
No. They go back to Carl Erskine with the Dodgers. I mean, there's an outstanding pitcher. It had nothing to do with pride from like hitters swinging heavy bats, but it just was not a pitch that was a dominant pitch like it is today.
Greg Gagne to come up now against Ted Higuera. Higuera from Mexico, Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, and there is such great interest in the career of Ted Higuera that whenever he pitches for the Brewers, the game is broadcast on radio all over Mexico, as it is today. Gagne pops it up. Gantner. He's got it. And down go the Twins. 1-0 Minnesota, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Hear me today, but listen to me Sunday. I am Han, a guy of France, and we will be at the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic on Sports World to pump you up.
You can still buy a Steel for as little as $139.95. See the FS48 Steel grass trimmer. Do you know where your Steel dealer is? You'll find him in the yellow pages, under saws.
Whether they got their hits years ago or just last year, all your favorite baseball players are at ABC Collectibles. With over 1 million cards, you'll find ball players you never heard of before. But there's more, like superheroes of all kinds. Batman, Superman, and the X-Men. Original issues of your favorite comic books dating back over 50 years. Plus, ABC Collectibles has a music record collection of over 20,000 used albums and 45s. From heroes to villains to pop stars, they all can be found at ABC Collectibles in Moline.
Ted, for a positive number, you're being pretty negative.
Well, you remember what happened last time I tried Little Lotto?
Come on, Ted, you're being a square.
Oh, that's perfect square to you, really.
Ted, babe, get a grip.
No, I'm sticking with Lotto.
But with Little Lotto, you can play Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah?
And some people win hundreds of thousands of dollars.
In cash? Okay! Hey, what's the deal with the new guy? Oh!
Juice? Very fine. The very finest.
Watch 5 p.m. live weekdays at 5 on KWQC-TV, the Quad Cities Channel 6.
The game of the week is brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement.
There's a fellow who's puzzled why Jim Cott wouldn't throw the changeup in his day. B.J. Surhoff leads off for the Milwaukee Brewers. Top of the fifth, 1-0, the Twins ahead. There's a real slow curveball, and it misses. Ball one. Surhoff grounded into a force out his first time. One of the top young catchers around, one of the top catchers, period. Another slow curveball. This one a called strike, and Surhoff, multi-talented. He's an excellent bunter. He steals bases. Changeup. Swung on a miss right too, but his batting average very poor right now. He had the outstanding rookie season. You look there, Baltimore in the top of the ninth, ahead of Oakland 4-2. Trying to make it 2 of 3. They split a doubleheader with Oakland last night. There's ball 2, 2-2. Surhoff will be followed by Felder and Ganter. This is the last third of Trebelhorn's batting order. Slowly to Gagne. In time over to Larkin. There is one away. So B.J. Surhoff now 0 for 2. Take a look at the Brewers lineup. Molitor, Yount. They've been up there at the top of the order, I think, for the last 30 years. Sheffield, Braggs, Brock, Deere, Surhoff, and now Felder coming up. Gantner hitting in the 9th spot. He also, Molitor, Yount, and Gantner, the 3 constants on this Brewers ball club for more than a decade. Felder rounded to first his first time. He's a speedster, bluffs the bunt, and takes ball 1. 1 ball to no strike. Gaetti came rushing in from third when he saw Felder show the bunt. Felder's been hot lately. And he takes a strike. He really gets down in that crouch, but he doesn't very often walk. You expect him to get a lot of walks, but he's a very aggressive hitter. Can play all over the outfield.
There's that aggressive swing. Here's a guy stole 287 bases in 4 years in the minors, and is on a streak right here where he's 12 for 12. So when he does get on, represents a lot of speed, as the Brewers are known for. Led the American League last year. Good slow curve from Roy Smith.
1-2, and he follows that up with a little blooper in the center field for a base hit. And that is only the second hit of the game for Milwaukee.
John, you mentioned the 3 constants in this Milwaukee lineup. Gantner, Yount, Molitor have been playing together for 11 years. There's probably only one other club in baseball, and that would be the Red Sox, where you look at Rice and Evans and Bob Stanley, guys that have played over a decade together, but very unusual to see a couple, let alone 3 players on one team, be together that long.
Molitor has been with the ball club along with Gantner for such a long period of time. There's a changeup that's low for ball one that, going back to the late 70s, they've each been through about 3 different eras of Brewer baseball. And Yount, he almost invented the Brewers.
Yeah, these guys were all with Harvey's Wallbangers back in the early 80s when they were a power team, not a speed team. But with Roy Smith's big slow curve and high leg kick, this is an ideal situation. You got to be very surprised if Felder does not go on one of the next 2 pitches.
1 ball and no strikes to count to Gantner. He lined out to center his first time. And that's a ball. 2-0. The thing about Gantner, Molitor, Yount, not only have they been around a long, long time, Gantner is the oldest of the 3 at 35, but all still playing at a high level. Very few second basemen can pivot a double play better than Jim Gantner. Down the right field line, it's a fair ball. Chasing after it, Castillo. Felder racing around second. On his way to third, he's going to be waved home. Here comes the relay to Newman. His throw home. Sweet! A double for Gantner. It's all tied up. With Felder racing around the base paths as Gantner doubles into the corner to tie this ball game.
Mike Felder made a bluff move to steal, couldn't get a jump, but with his blinding speed makes up for it. See, he's going to hold up. And then Duffy Dyer waves him on. And he kind of Cadillacs in there to tie the ball game. But Jim Gantner, though, a 276 lifetime hitter, absolutely kills the Twins. Career-wise, coming into this year, 326 against Minnesota.
Gumby, that's his 10th double of the year and his 19th run batted in. And here is Molitor, and the Minnesota bullpen's going to get busy. They're keeping a real close eye on Roy Smith because he's working in just 2 days of rest. 1-1 tie. Strike 1 to Molitor. Here's a final from Baltimore. The Orioles have beaten Oakland for the 2nd straight time, 4-2. The Orioles have a winning record against the Western Division leaders, 4-3. The Orioles atop the East. They had the long rain delay there, but they were able to resume play. They went the full 9, and Baltimore defeated Oakland 4-2. Bautista over Matt Young. Matt Young, first time he's been out there in a couple of years. 1 ball, 1 strike to Molitor. Base hit could put the Brewers ahead. Ball 2. Robin Yount is on deck.
Boy, we talk about Gantner, Yount, and Molitor. Here's a perfect example. Smith has got to pitch very carefully to Molitor, watching Steve Shields warming in the Twins bullpen. And then if he loses him, that's who you have to deal with. Robin Yount.
1-1 tie. Gantner at second. And Molitor lunging after the slow curve. Fouls it back in amongst the spectators. Out of play. 2-2 the count. One thing about Molitor and Yount, too, and they're still doing it after all of these years. I remember Sal Bando going back, way back into the late 70s and into the early 80s. Bando said one thing Molitor and Yount gave the Brewers then, and it's the same now. They're hard to pitch to. They put the ball in play. They spray it around the ballpark, singles and doubles. They get walks. Once they're out there, they can go from first to third, second to home, as well as anybody. They're always making it happen for this ball club. Whatever era they're currently in, whoever's hitting behind Molitor and Yount is going to have a lot of RBI opportunities. 2-2 the count.
Yeah, I think what Molitor and Yount do better than any 2 hitters at the top of the lineup is they use the whole field from line to line. I mean, Robin Yount has great power, but you can't play him to pull. You can't play him any one way. You can't Paul Molitor either. He can shoot it down the right field line. He can pull it down the third base line.
It's another slow curve, and Molitor fights it off. 2-2.
And then you mentioned the speed. I mean, both blessed with great speed. Yount's on a string. Here's a guy 34 years of age, and he's on a roll. 14 consecutive stolen bases his last 14 attempts.
Paul Molitor. 2-2. Gantner at second. That one is hit well in the deep left center field. Gladden seems to have a beat on it and makes the catch. Gantner was halfway to third and will have to go back. Nice play by Dan Gladden. But again, in that part of the ballpark, The Metrodome has the reputation of being a great home run hitter's park, but you really have to crush one to get it out in deep left center like that. Here's a look at it.
And watch how Gladden plays this ball. See, the Twins outfielders, very experienced at playing here, will play that ball off to the side, off to the shoulder, because they get a little better look at it. Most of the visiting teams that have come in here this year with a new lighting, you attack that ball straight on, they can't pick it up. We've seen a lot of fly balls lost here this year.
Now here's Robin Yount. He has walked and singled. One of the greats in the game, Robin Yount. And it's ball one. He, again, is not playing with his health intact today. He's got the bad knee, crashing into the fence the other day. Robin Yount, who goes all the way back to 1974. When he came up, the Brewers were still really an expansion team. In the dirt, knocked down by Harper. The count is 2-0.
Made him a little older than he really is. Going to be 34 near the end of this year. But if you had to pick one guy who's going to be the next man to reach 3,000 hits, this would be the guy you'd pick. Probably be a good trivia question. Like Higuera doesn't get a lot of recognition in Milwaukee. Buckner is the leader right now. Buddy Bell is second. This guy's third.
They're going to go ahead and walk him now. The heck with it. They're going to start over again against the rookie Sheffield with a fresh count. There's ball 3. They don't want to fool around with the out once the count went to 2-0. This will put 2 men on with 2 out. A 1-1 tie here in the 5th inning. Robin, yeah, you're talking about the next man to reach 3,000 hits, which may well happen. If you're going to look at a candidate who might be most likely to get 4,000, Robin, yeah, could be it. He's going to have to be real hot, but he's been playing for such a long time, going back to 74 when he was still a teenager, and a fellow who he grew up in the big leagues.
Came up when he was 19.
His manager, Tom Trebelhorn, there was a discussion the other day about Bo Jackson, one of the great athletes of his era, perhaps the greatest. Sheffield hammers it, but foul. Hit that ball hard, but foul back in amongst the spectators. 0-1. Sheffield is 0 for 2. Trebelhorn said, but don't overlook Robin Yount. He's not maybe in a Bo Jackson class, but Yount, pound for pound, he thinks is one of the great athletes in any sport.
It doesn't have the flair of a Bo Jackson, but he's got the numbers to back it up.
Bounce to the right side. Albert D. Newman makes the play. So just the one, the game is all tied up. Now, here's another edition of Characters of the Game.
Characters of the Game. Brought to you by A&W. Sit back and try yourself an A&W root beer or cream soda. It's likely there'll never be a more lovable field general than the old Professor Casey Stengel. As the skipper of the New York Yankees, he won championships. At the helm of the expansion New York Mets, he won our hearts.
We've got him from the babies up. As soon as the kid could talk, he started to say Metsy. Metsy, not Papa, not Mama. Metsy, Metsy, Metsy. So that's what they are.
His rambling banter was known as Stengelese. Casey was the only one who spoke it, and sometimes the only one who understood it.
Come and join our team and become a great member of a certain other ball club, or 5 or 6 that I know that have numerous ball players that are on their roster.
No doubt about it. Charles Dillon Casey Stengel was one of the all-time great characters of the game.
There are 3 good reasons to try A&W root beer. 1, it's rich and delicious. 2, it's a great change of pace. 3, you don't buy it, I may have to go back to my old job. Pig catching. Hi, I'm going to be living with you till you try a smooth, mellow A&W cream soda.
America, you have a choice. Try a regular or diet A&W cream soda, or try living with this man. Pour yourself an A&W cream soda.
You can see it in the way it looks. You can feel it in the way it drives. This is America's premier sports movie, Grand Prix. Now get 2.9% GMAC financing, or up to $1,600 cash back for first-time buyers.
Here's a look at the Minnesota lineup. Newman, Gladden, and Puckett. Then Gaetti, Larkin, and Castillo, followed by Harper, Gagne, and Laudner. And it is Laudner, the 9th place hitter, to lead off the 5th inning against Ted Higuera. One name notably missing from that batting order from the Twins, and it's the great hulking left-handed slugger, Kent Hrbek, who's been out since mid-May. In fact, just about 1 month ago is when he last played. The pitch high for ball one to Lautner, who walked his first time, and they have really missed his bat, and more than that, Jim Cott, from the scheme of things here.
Yeah, just before Herbie injured that shoulder, diving for a ground ball, knocked it down and dislocated that left shoulder here on the turf at the Metrodome. He had really caught fire and had kind of taken over the leadership. Now, he doesn't like to assume that role. He's just kind of one of the guys and a very probably as popular a player here as Kirby is, but he had really ignited this team at the time. They really missed more than just his production.
2-0 the count to Lautner. And there's a strike on a fastball. Newman and Gladden will follow. A 1-1 tie in the last of the fifth at the Metrodome. Very practically speaking, they have missed him in a big way. You can trace how the team has done when he's been in the lineup and how they've done when he's not been in there. And the differences are dramatic. 2-1 the count. The Twins have a team average of 284 with Hrbek and only 253, very ordinary, without him. And they have averaged 5.5 runs a game with him, which is a great figure, and a very mediocre 4.4 runs without him. This is Brock in foul territory and back into fair ground to make the catch on that one. So Lautner retired on the pop to first. Greg Brock grabbing it. And we go to the top of the order now for Al Newman.
Yeah, it's affected more than just the run production. It's affected Gary Gaetti. Gaetti doesn't see any fastballs to hit anymore. You watch this Brewers series, or almost any series, and pitchers out of every 10 pitches to Gaetti, 8 of them will be breaking balls.
Well, in this ballpark, with that short porch in right field, the right field at the Metrodome is just a home run delight. Here's ball one to Newman, switch hitter, batting right-handed. He's 0 for 2. And Hrbek, at his size, he looks like he could break the bat and hit one out of this ballpark. 1 ball and no strikes the count. One hopper. Monitor plays it deep third, foul. It's a foul ball. He threw it over to first, but it was a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
If people say why does that make a difference with Hrbek out of the lineup the way they pitched to Gaetti, just to explain that. When Gaetti is hitting 4th against, say, a right-hand pitcher and Hrbek 5th, they're not going to pitch around Gaetti to get to Hrbek. So as a result, he's going to get a few more hittable pitches, and that's just not happening.
1-1 the count to Newman. And bounces in the dirt. Talking about Hrbek and how they have been affected with him and without him. There's a look. That's the team batting average. 284 would be leading any league around. Very ordinary 253 without him. Newman hammers one into the left field corner. That's going to be extra bases. Braggs will chase it, and Newman will trot the rest of the way into second with a stand-up double.
You know, John, in this game of baseball, we could throw a lot of stats and a lot of tendencies at you. And one stat that I'm going to be interested to follow here in the next couple days is what the Twins do when Al Newman is in the lineup. Tom Kelly will say when Newman is in there, good things happen. Last year he filled in for Gaetti at third when Gaetti went down with a knee injury. Backman got hurt this year. He filled in at second. And he has been a real factor for the Twins in the games that they've won this year.
Now here's Gladden. He popped to short in the first, grounded to short in the third. First ball swinging, and he lifts one foul back out of play.
In fact, right now is an ideal situation for Newman, because if you want to steal third base, this is when you want to do it, to get there with 1 out. Last year he was the Twins leader percentage-wise, 12 out of 16. And this year he's 10 out of 14, even though he's not a full-time player. Tie for the lead in stolen bases with Gladden.
Newman over at second base. Wally Backman acquired for the Mets in the offseason, been lately kind of sharing time at second base with Newman. Kind of surprising. Backman with just 1 stolen base this year. Pitch. That one is hit high and foul down the left field line. Braggs gives chase. Can't get to it. And the count is 2 strikes to Gladden. There is bullpen activity now for Milwaukee. They also keep a close eye on Higuera. Any sign that things are not completely right with Higuera, as you see Knutson out of the bullpen. They're not taking any chances with Teddy. They're still looking at the long haul. They want him healthy and strong for the rest of this year and for years to come.
Now we go back over the pitch count again. I know Chuck Hartenstein and Tom Trebelhorn, Hartenstein, the pitching coach, will monitor that pitch count. They have a particular level that they'll let Higuera get to, and then after that they'll take him out regardless of the score.
Teodoro Valenzuela Higuera from Mexico. It'll remind you a little bit of Fernando Valenzuela, the Dodgers, his fellow countryman.
Well, the high leg kick, and then what every pitcher should do properly, you see that front foot pointed straight toward the target. Usually eliminates any arm problems and also helps your control.
Runner at second, one out, pick off at second with Gantner taking the throw. Too late. Newman is back in safely. 0-2 the count to Gladden. You know, Higuera, in a way, we're talking about the fact that he's not that well known outside of Milwaukee, and I'm sure hardly known at all outside of the American League, and overshadowed by his fellow countryman Valenzuela. Higuera and Valenzuela, the only pitchers from Mexico ever to win 20 games in the big leagues. Fastball is low, and Higuera did it the same year as Valenzuela, but missed by about 3 or 4 days of being the first ever to do it. Fernando beat him even to that a couple of years back.
Big controversy in between the Brewers and the Twins last year. Higuera finished second to Alan Anderson for the American League ERA title. Anderson passed up the last start of the season to ensure winning that title.
And the changeup misses. 2-2 the count to Gladden. You get to the power right after Gladden. You got Puckett on deck, then Gaetti. 1-1 tie in the 5th inning. Dan Gladden, he's been a lot of rumors out in Los Angeles, the Dodgers looking for a hitter, and Gladden's name has been mentioned.
I noticed that. I can't imagine. I mean, here's a guy who is, boy, a good, solid, steady player for the Twins. I got to believe those rumors are coming from the West Coast and not from the Midwest.
Well, they've been in the L.A. papers, apparently. That's a pop-up, and the right fielder, Rob Deere, comes in for it. Newman is tagging at second and bluffing. And Deere throws into Sheffield, the cutoff man, and 2 men are gone in the 5th. Now, this is a spot, interesting spot. A man in scoring position. And Kirby Puckett, 121 RBIs last year. Just the man the Twins want up there in this spot to try and go ahead. But Kirby has not been delivering in this spot.
Yeah, only in his last 18 games, only 6 RBIs.
In fact, in his last 16 games, only 2 RBIs. So.
You mentioned the home run total. Broke a string the other day. That was the longest dry spell he'd had in his 5 years in the big leagues. 172 at-bats without a home run.
Well, they hit one against Niedenfuhr of Seattle the other day. You see his 24 doubles, and he hit number 24 in the first inning of this game. He has scored the Twins' only run, batting with 2 down. A 1-1 game in the 5th inning, and a base hit could put the Twins ahead. Kirby's been swinging a lot of bad balls in these kind of situations. He's a kind of a bad ball hitter anyway.
Yeah, if it's close, he's going to hack at it.
If you're Higuera, do you throw him a strike in this at-bat? He does it on the first pitch.
Yeah, I would. He's the kind of guy, he's tough to pitch around. If you're going to put him on first base and get to Gaetti, who has not been swinging a hot bat lately, you got to either walk him or go right after him. I mean, you try to pick and nip the corners against Puckett, he'll beat you because he'll hit those bad pitches.
2-0 the count. Kirby looking very patient up there all of a sudden.
Yeah, Kirby has made that swing famous where he lifts that front leg. Now here's Rob Deere. Watch that front leg way up in the air to try to wait on the off-speed pitch. And here's the guy who kind of makes it famous right here, Kirby.
In fact, Deere said that last year in the All-Star break he was hurt and he was not hitting well anyway. And he saw Kirby Puckett in the All-Star game do that, and he decided to adapt it himself. Curveball misses. 3-0 to Puckett. And as you mentioned earlier, Deere wanting to use it as a timing device. And since that time, the second half of last year, Deere hit .296, adapting that style. And although he's only hitting .229 this year, they're going to go ahead and walk Puckett now intentionally. Start over again with Gaetti. But Deere has had very good success utilizing that. Ruben Sierra of Texas, another fellow who lifts that front leg. Mel Ott, I guess, in baseball history.
Yeah, he was the exception. Now a lot of them do it. You know, the rule of thumb is a hitting coach would tell you to pick that front foot up ever so slightly and take a short stride.
In Japan, as we look at Gaetti, a man flamingo stance was the great Sadaharu Oh. He did it as a timing device. He really went further than anybody with it, though. Gaetti pops it up. First ball swinging. This should do it. Gantner with 2 down. Grabs it, and that's the inning. So the Twins had a shot. They had their big hitters up there, but they could not get the run home after 5. We're tied.
My athlete's foot kept flaring up. I'd put it out, and it'd just flare up again. Then my doctor told me about Tinactin. It cures recurring athlete's foot. Use it regularly, and it'll keep the fire from coming back.
Tinactin puts the fire out for good.
Oh, hi! While Toyota lets the sticker do the talking, there is a huge selection of new trucks at your Toyota dealer. And right now, extra value packages mean big savings on select trucks like the Toyota named 4x4 of the year. And factory-to-dealer incentives up to $1,800 on 4x2 standard beds. So you better hurry in, because the stickers won't be talking like this forever.
For every man who wears Brute, there's a woman who loves what he smells like. Because there's something about Brute that's nice to be close to. And nobody knows that better than a woman.
Hello? Honey, I was just thinking about you.
Brute cologne, deodorant, and everything else. Brute, it smells like a man.
This is the moment of truth. You're confident as you step up to the mound. They're expecting a squeeze play. But no. Because today, you're throwing nothing but a strike. Matchlight. Real Kingsford charcoal with just the right amount of lighter fluid already added for perfect lighting every time and surefire delivery to the plate. Matchlight charcoal from Kingsford. What the pros use.
I wasn't sure where to get my muffler fixed.
At Midas, we stock more mufflers than anyone.
Everyone promised low prices.
Midas prices take the sting out of muffler repair costs.
The difference was Midas.
Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Well, after 5 very fine innings by the starter Roy Smith, pressed into emergency duty on short rest, Tom Kelly is going to the bullpen now for Steve Shields. And look at that earned run average. You mentioned it early on, Jim, that the bullpen, particularly the middle relief part of the bullpen, has been very, very shaky at best for the Twins.
You talk about pressure. You know, there's 7th game World Series pressure. But here's pressure for Steve Shields at 8.53 ERA. Gave up a grand slammer to Alvin Davis the other day. If he doesn't have a good outing today, he's in Portland in the next 2 days.
A lot of talk about changes being imminent on that pitching staff with the Twins as Glenn Braggs, the cleanup hitter, takes ball 1. 1-1 tie. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Shields, he's been around a long while. He's Kansas City, Seattle, the Yankees, most recently with the Yankees. Braggs 0 for 2 in this game. Called strike.
Well, when he first came up, his role was going to be, the Twins had traded Keith Atherton early this year for Carmen Castillo, their right fielder. His role was going to be to help Juan Berenguer in that middle relief, that setup role. And early on did a good job of it, but lately has not had a lot of good outings.
1 ball and 1 strike to Braggs. And he fouls 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tell us a little bit about Steve Shields.
Well, Steve Shields first came up with the Atlanta Braves and was a starting pitcher, typical of a lot of pitchers. Good live arm when he was a youngster, arm injury, had to learn to make the ball sink, low slider, not a power pitcher, and finds himself today in a position, you know, the toughest time to go out and do well is when you're absolutely expected to do it. You know you have to do it. And a lot of talk around the Twins camp about making some pitching changes. This guy, one of them.
That one is gone if it's fair. Deep down the left field line. And it is a fair ball and way out of here. 2-1 Milwaukee. Number 11 for Glenn Braggs. And you hear those Milwaukee fans, of which there are many, at the Metrodome today. It's 343 feet to that corner. And that ball is way back beyond that.
Well, the Brewers got to look at the real slow curve from Roy Smith. Smith has the ability to really change speeds on it. That pitch right there from Shields, a little bit of a hanger. Give you an idea why Braggs was compared to Canseco back in his minor league days.
Here's Greg Brock, another powerful hitter, left-handed batter. He is 0 for 1, has been hit by a pitch.
Here's a pitch right here. You see Smith had gone at them with the slow curve. That one not near the break and hangs right about thigh high in the inside part. Braggs knew it.
Greg Brock with a count of 2-0, and already the Minnesota bullpen is busy. Left-hander warming up out there. 2-1 Milwaukee. 2-0 to Brock. Shields gets a strike on the outside, down around the knees. 2-1. Glenn Braggs with 11 home runs now. His career record as a major leaguer, 13. 2-1 the count. Ball 3. Now, if Braggs stays healthy, and you almost always have to preface anything you say about the Brewers. There's Wayne in the bullpen, the young lefty, because they've had so many terrible problems with injuries the last couple of years in particular. If he stays healthy, Braggs might get his 25 to 30 homers this year. Brock could be trouble down the left field line. It's in foul ground. Nope, there's the shortstop. Gagne over right between Gladden and Gaetti to grab that one. Gagne, Gladden, Gaetti gathering beneath that foul bomb.
G factor.
The good factor. 1 out, 1 in, and here is Rob Deere. Mentioning Sadaharu O with lifting that front leg the way Deere wants or has adapted. If he wants to take it another step further, the way O did it in Japan, was to study seriously the martial art of Aikido, which all has to do with balance. And O, in that flamingo stance, would lift that front leg up, and he could stand with the bat cocked, the leg in the air on one leg. He could do that for 2.5, 3 minutes, and you could not knock him over. Perfect balance. 1 strike the count. Ooh, there's Deere with that home run cut. Foul tipping it. 2 strikes.
Yeah, and that's the challenge right now to a Steve Shields. You'll see pitchers try to throw Deere right upstairs there with that fastball, because with that high leg kick, tough to catch up with that.
2 strikes to Deere. High and tight.
But the purpose of it and the balance factor you mentioned, that's exactly why hitters try to do it, to be able to keep the weight on the back leg and weight on the breaking ball, the way Braggs did and hit the home run on the breaking ball off Shields.
1 and 2 to Deere. Swing and a miss. He got him chasing that breaking ball down and away. Deere, who annually has prodigious strikeout totals. That is the 74th time this year that he struck out.
Yeah, he's going to break his own record. He set it back in 1987. He struck out 186 times. He's on a pace right now to go well over 200. But Brewers don't care. The home runs and RBIs are there, and out is an out.
There's a strike call to B.J. Surhoff, who twice has grounded out. Left-handed hitter. 2-1 Milwaukee, top of the 6th. 2 down, nobody on. And it's outside for a ball. This is a real rivalry between these 2 ball clubs. Cities maybe 5.5 hours drive from one another, Milwaukee and Minneapolis. And a lot of folks from Wisconsin, from Milwaukee, come over for the ball games here. And the Twins have really been taking it on the chin all year long. They've lost by scores of 12-0, 10-4. Even a ball game they seem to have won with Reardon in to pitch the 9th. Turned into a loss when Rob Deere blasted one out of the ballpark.
6 games combined. The Brewers have outscored the Twins 45-18. Have out-homered them now with Braggs' home run, 13-2.
At the same time, it's kind of perplexing to Tom Trebelhorn and Brewers fans. Why can't they do this to anybody else? It's a pretty good slider there. 2-2.
Yeah, but it seems like every year there are ball clubs that dominate other ball clubs. And not necessarily the contenders that take advantage of the cellar dwellers. You know, there can be ball clubs that are very competitive, but yet they dominate one another.
That's a ball into the hole. Gagne quickly over the field. He throws out the speedy Surhoff. Nice play by Gagne. So Shields gives up the homer to Braggs, then sends them down in order, but the Brewers are out in front 2-1.
Now, get up to $1,600 cash back for first-time buyers on select hot new Pontiacs. Or get 2.9% GMAC financing. Other cashback amounts and low financing rates are available on virtually every Pontiac in stock. That's up to $1,600 cash back or 2.9% GMAC financing on some of America's hottest sport coupes and sedans. See your Pontiac dealer for details now. Rebuild excitement.
I'm Tim Simmons, State Farm agent. One day my policyholders got the back of their family car banged up. But Van and Mary and the boys didn't have to miss any family outings. They reported their claim directly to me. Our claims people were on the job pronto, so that Van and Mary could get their car fixed fast. Now they know why more people think that State Farm is the best buy in car insurance. We keep things moving, so you can keep your family moving.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The dream. GMAC makes the dream yours. Ask your GM dealer how custom-tailored Smart Lease helps you drive home the new GM car or truck of your dreams with low monthly payments.
Dreams of America, GMAC.
Wherever dirt goes, you know it's up to no good, especially when dirt goes for your car. So when it comes to stopping dirt,
okay,
more people go with Fran. Because no air filter traps more dirt than Fran. It's the #1 way to stop dirt in its tracks.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Fran, the end of the road for dirt.
From the Metrodome, the game of the week, the Minnesota Twins and the Milwaukee Brewers. John Miller along with Jim Cott. And the Twins come to bat last of the 6th, trailing. The Cheeseheads are happy. Over from Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Here is Larkin. Switch hitter, batting right-handed, takes a strike. It is 0-1. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Brewers. 1 run, 5 hits for the Twins. Bragg's the game's only home run. Ted Higuera to the plate. It's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. That little girl wearing that Cheesehead hat, they wear that at County Stadium all the time. I think that's kind of the slice of cheese that they used to make a grilled cheese sandwich at the Carnegie Deli in New York. That's, at least the last time I was there, I had one about that size. 2-1. Give me the grilled cheese. How much is that? That'll be $10.50. But then when you get it, you realize that it's worth about that. 2-1 the count. Monitor cuts over to his left. And Larkin is thrown out. One away. You know, Paul Monitor is talking about the Brewers. And I asked Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, about who he liked in the American League East. Everything's so tightly bunched up. The Orioles currently on top. Astounding the baseball world. A lot of people think if Higuera is ready to pitch up to his former standards, with Plesac out in the bullpen, a healthy Monitor, and a healthy out, the Brewers could still do it this year. Kelly said, if you shut down Monitor, you've got a great chance of shutting down the Brewers. He thinks Monitor is really the key to that. Fouled away by Carmelo Castillo, right-handed hitter.
And I guess, John, that's why when Molitor came up, they tagged him with the nickname the Igniter, because it's exactly what he is.
Monitor was a second baseman when he came up, playing third base now. One of those fellas seems to have gotten better and better over the years.
39-game hitting streak last year.
Year before last hit better than 350. High and away to Castillo. 1 ball, 1 strike. Castillo's got some power. Used to be with Cleveland. Always used on a platoon basis. Struck out twice today. Castillo, though, hitting .296 at the start of the day. He's hit 3 home runs this year.
Now, one thing Tom Kelly will do, regardless of the Twins' record, he gets his players on the bench at bats so that when they do get called on, injuries happen to Kent Hrbek, they can step in and do a job like Castillo has done, like Al Newman has done.
That's ball 3.
Castillo said early in the season, about 30 days into the season, he hit that home run off Guillermo Hernandez. He said, I've had more at-bats already right now than I had almost all of last year with Cleveland.
3-1 to Castillo. Fastball into left field. Base hit. Well, even as great a pitcher as he is, Higuera is a much different pitcher when he's behind in the count. 3-1, 2-0. 1 out, 1 on. Brian Harper coming up.
We were talking about that one team dominating another, the way the Brewers have dominated the Twins. The Twins, on the other hand, won the World Championship in '87 and beat a club to get to the World Series that they've had that kind of mastery over. The Detroit Tigers, 11-1 last year. Tigers aren't that bad a ball club. They are this year.
Here's Harper. Base hit. His second hit of the day. Castillo will go to second as Deere fields it cleanly. And the Twins have runners at first and second after back-to-back hits. That's 7 hits they've gotten against Higuera. And here is Greg Gaetti. Gaetti's been working with Don Baylor for a few days here. Early, before anybody else gets out here, Baylor brought in to coach just Gaetti and just for a few days.
Yeah, and I think the important point there is every big league staff has a quality coaching staff. Tom Trebelhorn going to go out and have a word with Ted Higuera. But Baylor came in with the blessing of the coaches. They understand that each player has that one guy, whether it's a psychological influence or knows something about his mechanics as a hitter or a pitcher that can be of great help. Baylor was that guy for Gaetti. He's come in, worked with him. Main thing he's tried to do is get Gags to identify what his strike zone is. You know, lay off the pitches that are high, a little low. Paid off so far. Even though the Twins lost last night, he had 3 RBIs in that game.
Greg Gaetti. Trebelhorn spoke both with Higuera, and then before he went back to the dugout, he had a few words with B.J. Surhoff.
Of course, one of the things as a manager you learn early on, never go out and ask a pitcher how you feel. How do you feel? Because any pitcher worth his salt is going to say, hey, I feel great. I want to stay in here.
Gaetti, first ball swinging. Shallow right center. Here is Rob Deere under it for the out. Gaetti is 0 for 3 today. Or in the case of Higuera, you ask him how he is, he might say, muy bien, gracias.
Hey, you could step right next door there where they're airing this game to Mexico. They follow Teddy Higuera around all of his starts and air the games back to his native country. And with that little flair for Spanish that you have, hey, you could step right over there and do that.
Tim Laudner, the hitter, 2 out, 2 on. The Brewers ahead of the Twins 2-1. Teodoro Higuera, un lanzador maravilloso.
Izquierdo, is it?
Lanzador izquierda.
Or bring in the left-hander.
Yeah. Higuera viene a bola. 1 ball and no strikes. The count to Laudner. Laudner was part of the Major League Baseball tour of Japan last November. He left in an envelope out at Seibu Stadium.
He left Japan in an envelope? He's bigger than that.
He left $600 in an envelope out there.
Okay.
And it was all returned the next day. He said his faith in humanity was restored. He said just a little envelope, cash money in there, the yen equivalent of about $600. And they took great pains. The Seibu Stadium, about 2.5 hour drive from his hotel. They brought it all back the next day. 2-0 to Laudner. That's a little bit low. 3-0. Producer Kenny Edmondson wants to know about Japanese announcers. Genshiro Asami, the great broadcaster of the Tokyo Giants. Watashi wa the Metrodome. Hajime mashite, dozo yoroshiku. Walk. I'm not sure how they say walk in Japanese. Bases are loaded. 2 down. Castillo to third base. Harper to second. Laudner over to first. And here is Albert D. Newman.
And probably the guy other than Kirby Puckett right now that Tom Kelly would like to have up in this situation against a left-hand pitcher.
And Albert up there saying, hey, what? Me worry? 2-1 Milwaukee. The Twins needing a big hit here. They left a couple on in the 5th. They've stranded 6. Ball 1. And Surhoff looking over to the dugout before he trots out to the mound to visit with Higuera. Higuera's stamina still isn't what it should be and what it will be later on. 7 innings is the most he's worked in any ball game. He's into the 6th here, but he struck out 4. He's walked 3. He's labored at times in this ball game. Thrown a lot of pitches.
Yeah, and that's the throwing the pitches. That's where that pitch count, you can throw it out the window, because if you're in good rhythm, you can throw 150 pitches and feel like you've only pitched 4 innings. But if you're a little out of sync like Higuera has been.
Foul away, back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike to Newman.
Then that's a little different story. Then sometimes, you know, you can throw 40 pitches in 3 innings and not have good rhythm, and the next day you feel like you've pitched 18 innings. So that's where the pitch count really doesn't have a factor. And Higuera obviously is laboring, as you said today. He's not been that smooth pitcher that we're used to seeing with good control.
Twins are not looking for a home run from Newman. They take a little bloop single somewhere. 3 men on, 2 men out, and the Twins are down by 1. Newman has flied to left. He's flied to left into a double play, but in the 5th inning, he doubled into the left field corner. Higuera from the windup. Too high. 2-1. That was a close one.
You see, John, even with the 2-1 lead here, I mean, Higuera pitching Al Newman like he is Kirby Puckett.
The Twins have put 10 men on base, and we're in the 6th inning, but they have only scored 1 of them. Along the right field line, Rob Deere is right there, and that is the end of the threat. The Twins leave them loaded. They have stranded 9 in 6 innings and are trailing 2-1. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Monday, a cop in search of a killer, and the killer searching for him. Jimmy Smits and Marky Post in the suspense thriller Blitz Monday.
I wasn't sure where to get my muffler fixed.
There's a reason Midas is #1.
Everyone promised low prices.
It's not just because we offer the economizer for $25.
Some said they had a guarantee.
Or that it comes with a Midas guarantee.
There had to be a difference.
There's a difference because no matter how little you pay for an economizer, you still get service from the one company no one can beat.
The difference was Midas.
Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Chevrolet presents Redman TNT Spring National. The world's most powerful and unique vehicles are roaring into the fairground. Feel the pulse-pounding action as the nation's premier pullers square off. See Bigfoot Fast Track, 23,000 pounds of car-crushing muscle. See Flying Machine, the flaming jet tractor. See Flashfire, the world's only supercharged fire truck. See the final round of action tonight at 7 at Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds. It's a motor vehicle extravaganza. It's pure.
Option, power locks. Option, automatic drive. Option, leather seats. Option, the only option, buying your vehicle at Horst Zimmerman in Rock Island. Come test drive the car of your choice and see for yourself that Horst Zimmerman takes pride in serving their customers before and after a sale. Not to mention a friendly, highly skilled service department. There's 3 good reasons to buy at Horst Zimmerman. Pontiacs, Cadillacs, and Hondas. Come to 1740 5th Avenue in Rock Island first.
Wheel of Fortune, Saturdays at 6:30 on Channel 6.
The Game of the Week is brought to you by the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer.
This is back between innings after Higuera left the mound, went back to the dugout. Tom Trebelhorn gave him a pat in the back and said, "Mucho gusto, señor, pero no más."
And said, "Nice job," or something like that, didn't he?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Higuera said, very good. And his day is finished, it looks like. Everybody congratulating him on 6 strong innings. Here is Mike Felder. And he's going to get a base hit on this one. I think Felder might hit awfully well if he played a lot of games in this ballpark.
Yeah, we're the injury that we're familiar with in recent years is called turf toe. Now that's a turf hit if you've ever seen one right there. And exactly what a guy like Mike Felder has to do to be effective in the big leagues. He's not going to hit any home runs, but if he can whack the ball off the turf like the old softball hitters with his speed, he can be an important part of this ball club.
Well, in the 5th inning, Felder's been kind of the igniter today. In the 5th, he got a 1-out single and scored the Brewers' first run, the tying run. Now he leads off the 7th with another base hit, and always a threat to steal. And Shields, mindful of that, throws over there as Jim Gantner comes up. Gantner drove home Felder, brought him home all the way from first base with a double to right the last time. Another throw over there, and Felder back 2-1. Milwaukee leading the Twins. We're in the 7th inning. The Twins, very frustrating day for them. They have stranded 9 men on base. There goes Felder. And he steals it easily. Gander swung at that one as if the hit and run was on. But Felder had it easily stolen. And the Brewers are better off than he didn't hit the ball.
I think what Jimmy Gantner did, being the veteran ball player that he is, he knows the one thing you can do to protect a base runner is swing through a pitch. Makes it a little more difficult for the catcher to pick up the ball and to get out of the blocks. So he's just giving Felder a little protection right there. And he makes it easy. That's 13 in a row for Felder.
9 of them this year. He is 9 for 9 for stealing bases this year. He's at second. 1 strike to Gantner. That's fouled away. Look out. In a hurry into the crowd. And the count is 2 strikes. So Gantner giving up a strike when he could have had 1-0 to help his man get over.
I think a veteran player like that has confidence that he can make contact. Ideally right here, he'd like to pull the ball to the right side, but Shields and Harper probably going to try to keep it away from him, not let him pull it.
Gantner 1 for 2 today. He's hit the ball hard twice. Both of his previous at-bats against Roy Smith, however. There's the ball outside. They're not going to give him anything to pull to the right side, it appears, keeping everything away from him now.
See, but with Felder's speed, Gantner knows all he has to do with that pitch outside, if he does the same thing Felder did, if he just whacks it on the turf on a couple of hops, he'll get Felder over to third easily.
And that, at this point, is all Gantner is thinking about. Just get Felder to third somehow. But they came in on him. Great play at second by Newman. He got him at first. Well, Gantner got Felder to third, but almost got him home. But Al Newman, with a spectacular diving grab of the ball, quickly to his feet to throw out Gantner. Beautifully done, and at least for the moment, saving a run.
It certainly does. I mean, not many second basemen off turf, because you got to get there a lot quicker. And Newman not only has done a great job for the Twins at third, proves he can do it at second also.
All right, Al Newman, at least for the moment, again, saving a run, but the Brewers have only 1 out in that runner at third, and they've got the 2 veterans, Molitor and Yount, coming up. Bullpen activity for Milwaukee, as we told you earlier. It looks like Higuera's all done for the day. The infield is in for Molitor. The slider, a called strike. Molitor 0 for 2 with a walk, but he hit a deep fly ball to left center onto the warning track as last time. That would do in this case.
Yeah, and Shields not a power pitcher, but yet the Twins in the outfield shade him around toward right field.
In the dirt. Saved by Brian Harper. 1 ball and 1 strike.
See right there. I mean, we talked about Molitor and Yount and their ability to use the whole field. And yet in this situation, off a guy that doesn't throw very hard like Steve Shields, give him a lot of room in left center.
2-1. Milwaukee ahead. Felder at third. Fouled back in the count. 1-2 to Molitor. Well, this is a situation. The Twins have had so many base runners today, but only one of them has scored. The Brewers have not had that many great opportunities. In fact, the only 2 runs they've scored, one on a home run with nobody on, the other with only a runner at first, and they brought him home all the way from first. This is the first time today that Milwaukee's had a runner at third. He's going to head home. Newman's throw home. He is safe. He beat the throw. A great jump by Felder. And I am assuming he must have touched home plate because Cooney called him safe. Great slide by Felder.
Teams will use the contact play. When you have a player with the speed of a Mike Felder and the infield is in, third base coach Duffy Dyer will say, hey, if that ball is hit on the ground, as soon as contact is made, you're going. And watch Felder's speed right here. I mean, he explodes with that head-first slide past Brian Harper. Newman could not have played it any better.
As you saw there, he definitely touched home plate. There's a look at the jump he got. Throw had him beaten. That's a nice slide by Felder.
And see Harper a little bit out in front of the plate. And a lot of the guys that work with catchers in the big leagues, Rick Stelmazik, the Twins bullpen coach, like to see those catchers with 1 foot on the plate where you're back there in position to make the tag. Harper well out in front of the tag, got beat by that head-first slide. Got in front of the plate, rather.
They pitched out to Robin Yount, thinking Molitor is going to be on the run. 1 out, 3-1. Milwaukee ahead. Molitor gets the run batted in on the fielder's choice. No base hit. Yount fouls it away. Yount has walked. He has singled, and he's been walked intentionally as the fans Knocked that one around. Felder grabbing the plate, fading away from Harper. I saw just the other night Don Slaughter, the Yankees, save a run by doing just what you're talking about, Jim. Planting the left leg right on the baseline and blocking a runner off the plate.
If the throw's offline, that's one thing, but to stay on the plate gives you a chance to make the tag.
Yeah, fouls it away. Right now, the American League, Lance Parrish blocks the plate as well as anybody. And he's sort of an immovable object at home plate, too. Nobody wants to crash into Lance Parrish. Steve Shields, you look there at the statistic, just another indicator that he has been roughed up. And he's given up a couple of runs in this ball game. Only one out in the seventh. One on and one in. And the count to Yount, 2-2. Sheffield, the rookie, on deck. You say this season series has been a little bit lopsided? The average score has been about 7-3 in favor of the Milwaukee's. 2-2 the count. Check swing. Ball 3-2.
Now, missing with those two pitches, the Brewers get themselves in another good running situation. These guys at the top of the order, Molitor, Yount, and Sheffield, not only with good power, but also great speed.
Robin Yount, very tough to strike out. Struck out only about 10% of the time this year. Molitor back to the bag, and the Twins bullpen is going to get busy again. They'd like to have gotten 3-4 innings out of Shields.
Yeah, they'd really rather not use Gary Wayne. He's been on a lot of ball games and done a good job lately.
There goes Molitor. Grounded to short. Gagney's going to have to throw to first. In time to get Yount, and Molitor on the run and hit easily into second base. Wayne is up in the bullpen.
Lee Tunnell just called up from Portland on the right there, the right-hander. Juan Berenguer seated along with Francisco Olivares on the Twin bench right there. Berenguer used in last night's ball game, but you're right. Tom Kelly would like to get a couple innings out of Steve Shields and keep from using Wayne and Tunnell.
Here is Gary Sheffield, the third place hitter. He's popped to short, popped to third, and grounded to second. Swing and a miss. Strike one. Sheffield, only 20 years of age. They feel that he has a great chance to be an outstanding big leaguer. He struggled at times. About a month ago, he held a little impromptu press conference. It was well reported, saying he wanted to be traded. One strike to count to him. Up and in for a ball. He felt that he was being thrown at occasionally and that his pitchers were not defending him by throwing at the other team's hitters. And Tom Tremblehorn, his manager, sided with him a little bit, saying, hey, we haven't been coming inside with our pitchers as much as we should have.
Pretty outspoken for a 20-year-old rookie.
Bounce to short. Gagney, the one-hand grab on the run, throws out Sheffield. 3-1, though. The Brewers out in front. And now, here's another edition of State Farm Rules of the Game.
Rules of the Game, brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hi, folks. Doug Harvey, National League umpire. I'm back here again. Today we're talking about a runner in a rundown where he collides with a defensive man, and the runner is an illegal pass. Now, there's a certain way to handle this. I'll be back with you in a minute. We'll discuss this rule.
It seems like yesterday the Miller girls were in their strollers. Today things are changing. I'm State Farm Agent Dee Ray. After Shannon and Stephanie came along, the Millers needed our family insurance checkup. I showed them ways they could update their family coverage to cover their bigger family. Like every State Farm agent, I work with a family to help keep their insurance up to date. Keeping up with the girls, that's their job.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Remember what we have now, folks. We have a runner in a rundown. And on the way back, one way or the other, he collides with a defensive ball player. Now, that's called defensive obstruction. What we have to do then is take that runner, give him the next base beyond the last legally touched base he had achieved. That's Rule 706A. You're going to have to look it up.
That's today's edition of Rules of the Game, brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Introducing the Buick Park Avenue Ultra. Very few people will ever drive this much automobile.
At the end of the last inning, Steve Shields back into the dugout, having given up a couple of runs, and Tom Kelly patting him on the back.
Well, it's the old hang with him, but Steve Shields knows the outing today could be his last with the Twins.
Here is the new Milwaukee pitcher, Mark Knudsen. 6 feet, 5 inches tall, out of Denver, Colorado. Dan Gladden leads it off. The score now 3-1 Milwaukee. And as Knudsen goes out to work here in the 7th inning, left-hander Tony Fossis is already warming up in the bullpen for Milwaukee. Gladden pops it up, and Greg Brock gives chase near the dugout. He's got room. Out number 1, and Gladden is now 0 for 4 today. He's a guy that the Twins need to get on base to ignite things. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
John, you're going to see Tom Trebelhorn really piece this game together these last 3 innings with Knudsen. You mentioned left-hander Tony Fossis is up. Tom Kelly has Jim Dwyer on the bench from the left side. He's got Johnny Moses, a switch hitter, so he's going to use Fossis for the lefties.
Kirby Puckett, the hitter, foul back to the screen, 0-1. Kirby has doubled and scored the Twins' only run. He has struck out, and he's been walked intentionally. 1 for 2.
You know, and he also has the best, what many feel, the best setup man and closer in the American League. Chuck Krim, the right-hander, Dan Plesac, the left-hander, but they've both been used a lot the last couple days. He'd like to limit them to maybe an out or 2 in today's game if needed.
In the right center field, Felder hustling over to try and cut it off. Kirby rounding first, going to try for second. Felder juggles, and Kirby will make it. We'll see how they score it. Kirby was thinking double all the way, racing around first base.
Well, it is scored a 2-base hit. That's Kirby's 25th. He leads the American League.
His second double of the day.
See Felder right there flagging it down. A little distraction in the picture. A paper airplane out in center field, but really the Brewers, that was not scored an error, but the Brewers last in the American League in defense this year.
Here's Gaetti. The Twins looking for a little offense right now. With the power up, Gaetti today has singled home Puckett back in the first. Since then, he's grounded a third, and in the 5th inning with 2 down and 2 on, he popped out to second. The Twins have left 9 men on base through 6 innings. The Brewers, for their part, manufacturing runs now. In the 7th inning, we saw it. A single, a steal, a ground ball, and another ground ball. They got to run home. Made it look so easy. That's ball 2 to Gaetti.
Here's that paper airplane as Mike Felder. Now the ball is coming into view. Maybe that did distract him. But you see him really had plenty of chance to field that ball cleanly. That has really been a downfall of the Brewers, handling the baseball when they're in the field.
That's a strike. 2-1 to Gaetti. Manager Tom Trebelhorn, as you see the score, 3-1 Milwaukee in the last of the 7th. The Brewers have made more errors than anybody, and Trebelhorn says we just got to resign ourselves to the fact we're going to make more errors than anybody this year, I guess. But it has been perplexing. He thought they'd be better than this defensively. Gaetti foul-tipped that one into Surhoff's glove. 2-2 the count. 1 out and Puckett at second in the 7th inning. I thought that maybe was a note from some adoring fan of Felder's left out there.
From one of the cheese hits.
We love you, Tiny. But throw to second as soon as you can. Ball 3. 3-2 to Gaetti. Now, this is just what you were talking about earlier, Jim, with Herbeck out of the lineup. On deck is Larkin. Larkin is a decent hitter, but not a power hitter, and he's been very poor left-handed this year. Wide pitch to Gaetti in this spot, who could tie up the ball game with one swing of his bat. There is no Herbeck to protect Gaetti.
Exactly.
3-2 the count to Gary. Swings at it, lifts it foul, back out of play. I know some players, like a Gary Gaetti, and great hitters through the years, like a Stan Musial, Don Mattingly right now with the Yankees. In these kind of spots, they try to enlarge the strike zone a little bit, figuring that their team doesn't need to walk from it.
Yeah, I think if it's close, Gary will chase it, but this at bat, he's had more fastballs to hit than I've seen him get in a long time.
Knutson kind of pitching Gaetti backwards here. Gaetti's seen so many breaking balls all season. Got the fastball again, went with it deep into right field. That's the short porch. It's gone. It's all tied up. After all of the frustration, men left on base, base hits, walks. Gary Gaetti with one swing of his bat goes to the short porch in right center, just above the tarp out there, the curtain for Gaetti, his 10th home run of the year. And he get another fastball.
Yeah, that was really surprising, the pitching pattern there, unless B.J. Surhoff and the Brewers really have a lot of faith in Mark Knutson's fastball.
And there's a swing and a miss. Sinking fastball to Larkin. Larkin has walked, singled, and grounded out. Well, if they did have all that much confidence, perhaps they have less now.
Yeah, it's not that you just throw curveball after curveball. You set your pitches up in a particular pattern. But Gaetti, throughout all the games of the Brewers, has really been chasing the breaking ball.
Up and in for a ball. 1-1. Gaetti, especially since Herbeck's been out, you get a good look at Gary right there. Veteran player, one of the top players in the game. Gaetti's been frustrated. I've never seen so many breaking balls as I've seen this last month.
A smile on his face that I finally got a heater. Haven't had many of those to swing at.
Gary Gaetti. Hard-nosed player. 1-2. Gene Larkin batting left-handed now. And he just got a piece of it. Larkin, as a lefty, is only hitting 170. And you see it right there against right-handed pitching when he bats left-handed. He's been just fine against the lefties. And that's why he's not been playing lately, I guess, against the right-handers. They're going with Jim Dwyer, who's had the hot hand.
Been a frustrating year for Larkin. Last year, over 70 RBIs because he does hit behind Herbeck and Gaetti and get some pitches to hit.
And Knutson misses ball. 2-2 the count. 3-3 tie. In the last of the 7th inning, the Minnesota Twins, the big guns doing it. It was Puckett who set it up with a double, and then Gaetti blasted it out. Changeup. Base hit past the diving Gantner. And a rare base hit for Larkin as a left-handed hitter. Knutson is really struggling now. Now they're going to go to the bench, or are they? No, Castillo's going to come out and bat here. They got the lefty waiting in the bullpen, so Tom Kelly knows if he brings up a Dwyer or a Bush, the treble horn can counter that move. So Castillo will bat for himself here. He's 1 for 3. Castillo hitting .297. Knutson, after getting the first hitter, Gladden, has given up a double to Puckett, a homer to Gaetti, and a single to Larkin. Bounces one in there. Knocked down by Surhoff, and that will keep Larkin over at first base. Gene Larkin.
Excuse me, John, they don't keep blocks in the stat sheet, you know, for a catcher. We just seem to see so many of them. But that's an important play that kind of gets lost in the box score. Catchers work on it in spring training and during the season. Just get coaches to throw ball after ball in the dirt with different spin on it. And Surhoff, give you an idea what kind of catcher he is right there. Keeps the ball in front of him and keeps the lead run from getting into scoring position.
The outfield is backed up for Milwaukee. Brock on the bag at first with Larkin. Big bouncer, foul on the third base side. Molitor throws over to second. And Gantner gets kind of tangled up with Larkin. Gantner seems none too happy about it. Larkin going in with a takeout, kind of a slide. And all of that happening on a foul ball. And certainly, had it been fair, there's not going to be any chance of a double play in that one.
We talked about the rival. You're going to find that the rivalry, both these teams play very aggressive baseball against one another. And Gene Larkin does the right thing. Until you hear the foul ball call, you're going into second base to break up the double play.
See, Gantner, just as he started to fall over, realizing it was late to get Larkin, reached down and tagged him just in case Larkin had come off the bag there. 1-1 the count to Castillo. Larkin out of Columbia University broke all of Lou Gehrig's records there. The first big leaguer to come out of Columbia, Major League Baseball, since Gehrig. He played a little bit longer at Columbia, played a few more ball games than Gehrig did there. But he hit a lot of home runs there. I guess it wasn't all that tough to hit a home run in that field. But
short porch at Columbia?
They had to hit it over the chemistry lab out in right field. 1-2 the count. 2-2. The slider missing badly. Harper, another right-handed hitter, is on deck.
Castillo has good ability, John, to hit the ball the other way. And here's a situation where Tom Kelly, if you want to stay out of the double play, get that lead run to scoring position here in the 7th, would be the ideal count to use the hit and run.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Larkin then. Castillo holds the bat high. Larkin not running. Just got a piece of it to foul it back. Still 2-2. I wonder, Knutson's struggling here. The Twins are having good success with him, hitting the ball hard. Tom Kelly might like to just keep those right-handed hitters in there, figuring it'll keep Knutson in the game.
Give him some full swings at him.
The Twins with 10 hits. The Brewers with 5 hits. But the game tied 3 apiece here in the 7th. So Ted Higuera cannot win this ball game. He chased a bad one, strike 3. Third strikeout of the day for Castillo. He's got the hat trick. 2 down, and here's Harper. 2 down, and Larkin over at first base. Harper's 2 for 3 today. He's one of those fellows you're talking about, Jim. A fellow who was kind of languishing in the minor leagues. Had had a couple of opportunities and came into his own with the Twins. They gave him a shot last year. He's hit well ever since. Hitting .288 now.
Yeah, the guy he can thank for getting an opportunity, or maybe Alan Anderson should turn around and thank him, but Brian Harper caught all of Anderson's games at Portland early last year, AAA. So when Anderson came up, Harper began to catch him, worked out well. Anderson had the great year, so gave Brian a chance to show what he could do as a catcher. And he's done well.
3-3 tie, last of the 7th. Ball 1.
You know, you get a reputation, you get a rap sometimes in this game, and everybody says, well, Brian Harper, yeah, he was a utility player that they've made into a catcher. Not so. He was a draft pick of the Angels back in the late 70s and an all-state catcher in high school. That was his natural position. Just never had a chance to do it in the big leagues.
And it's ball 2. So you're saying he was a catcher that they converted into a utility player.
Right, because, well, hey, he came up with the Pirates for a while. He wasn't going to catch in place of Manny Sanguillen or Ed Ott when he was there.
2 balls, 1 strike to Brian Harper. Reaches for 1, fouling it back to the screen. 2-2 the count. Minnesota, we're talking about the fact they're 0-6 against the Brewers this year. The Brewers, in turn, against the Chicago White Sox, who have the worst record in the American League, have given up more runs than any other team in the American League. The Brewers have not been able to beat the White Sox. In fact, just the opposite of that, they haven't had a prayer against the White Sox. They've given up more than 40 runs in 4 losses to the White Sox. Got the breaking ball, but hit it right to Molitor. Over to Gantner, forcing Larkin. That's the inning. But Puckett and Gaetti conspire for 2 to tie it after 7 at the Metrodome. It's one of the great National League rivalries. Eddie Murray and the Los Angeles Dodgers, Oral Hershiser, Kirk Gibson against Pete Rose's Cincinnati Reds. Starting to look more and more like the old Big Red Machine with Eric Davis getting hot. He won a ball game in the 9th inning with a homer last night. That'll be next Saturday. Some viewers will see the Twins battle the Red Sox in the Green Monster at Fenway. It all starts with Major League Baseball and Inside Look next Saturday on NBC Sports. We are in the 8th inning at the Metrodome, and there's the new Minnesota pitcher, Byron Lee Tunnel. 29 years of age, veteran. He's bounced around with many different ball clubs. And he's facing the cleanup hitter, Glenn Braggs, who hit a booming home run his last time up there. And is 1 for 3. A 3-3 tie. 2-0. Tunnel, another fellow. We saw Shields. He went 2. He gave up 2. And Tunnel also, I guess, on the hot seat right now.
Very much so. Tunnel came up with the Pirates early 80s. Good live arm, good overhand curveball. Had some arm problems, battling his way back to the big leagues. Did well at Portland earlier this year.
Braggs fouls it away. 2-1 in the count. Braggs' home run, his 11th. They have a way of measuring out the estimated distance that the home run balls travel here. Gaetti hit his 2-run homer. Just a fly ball over that curtain in right field. The Braggs really blasted his, but only got 1 run out of it. Hit it 414 feet, way back over the 343 side down the left field line. Tunnel delivers. Challenged it. Fouled back to the screen. 2-2.
Yeah, I don't know how they compute that distance, but I mean, earlier this year, Bo Jackson, the only right-hand hitter ever to hit one in the upper deck right down the right field line, and that was measured at 4-something, but you can't take into consideration the trajectory or where it would have landed if it would have kept going. I mean, that ball was about a $6 cab fare, the one Jackson hit.
There's a high drive deep into left center field. Back goes Puckett. Still going back. Back to the wall. He's got room, and he makes the catch. Well, Braggs gave that one a long ride, but that's not the place to hit it in this ballpark. 1 away. The lead Tunnel. Hey, doesn't matter how you get the out. He got the out.
And once again, I mean, that ball was hit well, but deepest part of the ballpark. But I'd say a couple years ago, that baby's 10 rows up there.
Why?
Well, I think, first of all, we mentioned earlier, the ball's juiced up a little bit. Back at 87.
Why is it that they were never able, in any of those tests they did on the baseballs that year, why were they never able to come up with any laboratory evidence that the ball was juiced up? Here's Greg Brock. Right to Puckett. 2 down. Well, hitting the ball pretty well here against Tunnel, but he's got 2 down, nobody on.
Yeah, and in answer to your question, I don't really know. I mean, the only yardstick you have is when you go down on the field and you talk to players that play the game every day, and you watch them take batting practice, and you see guys that are 240, 250 singles hitters, not that they're good players, and they're hitting balls out of the ballpark to the opposite field, and all of a sudden players are looking at one another saying, man, what is with that baseball? So whatever the tests show, I don't know.
Well, Whitey Herzog is claiming that the new Bill White autographed baseball, at least in the National League, being used this year for the first time, is juiced up.
Bill's got a light signature. Very soft handwriting.
Here's Rob Deere, and he takes ball 1. Whitey says they just broke out. We're still using baseballs from last year. They just broke out their first boxes of Bill White baseballs. And he says they were jumping. Deere hits it foul, and the count is 1-1.
Of course, years ago, and I was a member of the Twins, and they had all the power hitters. We'd go into Chicago, and they did not have power hitters. We'd catch them keeping balls in the freezer, in the icebox. You'd get a ball on the mound, and it'd feel a bit like a snow cone. Keep the ball from jumping.
Who did that? Eddie Stanky did that, didn't he?
He wouldn't do anything like that, would he?
1-1 the count to Deere. And Tunnel misses ball 2. They get 3 infielders on the left side of second. Only Gene Larkin, the first baseman, remains on the right side. And they'd love for Deere to hit one on the ground, even if it went past those 3 guys. When he gets it airborne, that's when the ball always seems to look like it's juiced up. Here's ball 3, 3-1. Well, Whitey made the comments, apparently, that the new Bill White autographed ball in the National League was juiced up. And coincidentally, I'm sure it's just a coincidence, this came right about the time that the Cubs hit 6 home runs in a game at Busch Stadium, which is the all-time record in that ballpark. No team had ever done that before.
Big pitch right here. Rob Deere sitting on a 3-1 fastball. You're going to see an aggressive swing.
He got it, but he pops it up. Castillo over in shallow right center. Plenty of room. He's got it. 3 fly ball outs. Lead tunnel sets them down in order. Gaetti coming up. 3 Minneapolis. Just a beautiful day outside. It could not be nicer out there. Blue skies over along the Mississippi River. Just a treat to be out there. A lot of picnickers strolling along the banks of the Mississippi, taking advantage of the beautiful park right out in the middle of the river, Nicollet Park. And I'm sure over in Milwaukee, a lot of folks are down by the lakefront. Beautiful lakefront area in Milwaukee. A lot of people will be out tomorrow on Father's Day. Greg Gagne, the hitter, and he takes ball 1. And we, as fathers, Jim and I, would like to wish you and yours a very happy Father's Day, and hope that the family will be able to spend the day together. You might want to, if there's a ball game in your area, head out to the ballpark together. Give Dad a ball game and a day with the family out in the sunshine all at the same time.
It'll be the first Father's Day that we'll have a father-son combination playing in the big leagues on Father's Day. Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey. That's never happened before.
The bouncer hit foul. And, of course, in Baltimore tomorrow on Father's Day, they'll have Dad, Cal Ripken, coaching third base, and 2 of his sons playing out there as the double play combination. Cal Jr. at short and Billy over at second. Both of them playing awfully well these days. Cal Sr. fired his manager after only 6 games last year, but they brought him back. He accepted the job, and back coaching third base and teaching. And the Ripkins, and as Steve Wolf said in Sports Illustrated last week, he said, hey, one formula to get back into it: sign as many Ripkins as you can. The Orioles won another one today. They beat Oakland. They've taken 2 out of 3 from Oakland this weekend so far. And all around baseball, people asking, how are they doing it? But it really is a completely new ball club from last year. 1-2 the count to Gagne. 2-2. But the Orioles, as strong as their defense has been, we're talking about the Brewers and the troubles they've had. The Orioles have been the antithesis of that. They've played 63 games and made only 26 errors. Gagne fouls it. 2-2 the count. But the other night, as you see Kevin Mitchell with a home run today, the Giants clobbered Cincinnati 8-1 out at Candlestick. The other night, the fog enshrouded Memorial Stadium, and they lost a ball game when Ken Phelps of the Yankees hit a high fly ball that disappeared up into the fog. There wasn't anybody in the place who saw it, and it landed untouched on the warning track. 2 runs scored, the only 2 the Yankees got. They won the ball game 2-1. From the hole, Sheffield going to be tough. Got him. Nice play. Strong throw by Sheffield. That's about as tough a play as a shortstop has.
Yeah, it's not very often at shortstop that you can bobble the ball and get the runner out. That's the one infield position. You've got to field it cleanly and throw it accurately. But that gives you an idea of the cannon that Gary Sheffield has. And Greg Brock is all good veteran first baseman. Watch Sheffield bobble the ball just a little. Now he's got it and guns it. And Brock, as all good veteran first baseman, get off that bag a little early and get the benefit of the close call.
Now the Twins are going to go to the bench. Number 5 is Jim Dwyer, veteran left-handed hitter. Been with a lot of different clubs in his career. He spent the last 8 years, or most of them, with the Baltimore Orioles, where he became the pinch hitter deluxe in these kind of late innings situations. And Dwyer, you look at that batting average, he's been playing a lot more with Kent Hrbek down, and he has really been hot.
Yeah, he and Randy Bush have picked up a lot of the slack with Hrbek missing, and the more at bats Dwyer gets, the better he's been.
Jim Dwyer, just a fine veteran hitter. And he takes ball 1. He was with the Orioles last year through all of that 21-game losing streak and everything else. And it was real tough on him because he hurt his shoulder and could not play in the field because he couldn't throw the ball. When they started going with young players, the only job he had was as a pinch hitter. And they really needed a pinch hitter because of the way their games were going. And Sheffield cannot hold it. Gantner picks it up, and he'll hold it. Wow, that looked like a base hit for sure, and then Sheffield got to it, but then he couldn't hold it. And Dwyer is aboard.
Boy, he not only can pick it, but he can sky, too. You can see Sheffield. A little hang time on this one. And just gets a glove. It looked like he had it for a moment. Couldn't regain his balance to make the recovery catch.
You might have called him for goaltending in the NBA on that one. That's a base hit for Dwyer, the 11th hit for the Twins. Dwyer on at first, and here is the leadoff man, Albert Dean Newman, batting left-handed now. Right over the middle, base hit. Dwyer to second holding. That took a very big bounce into last as Sheffield went after it, making it impossible for him to get to it.
Now, we didn't see a pinch runner for Jim Dwyer with Dwyer at first. Tom Kelly does have Johnny Moses on the bench, and oftentimes managers, once you get that lead run into scoring position, of course, he'd like to keep Moses in reserve. They have another left-hand bat on the bench. We'll also wait to see what move Treblehorn makes. So I think we're going to see a few managerial moves here made before this inning is over on both sides.
Well, Treblehorn's got the left-hander, Fossas in the bullpen. The Twins have the left-hander, Wayne throwing in their bullpen now. 2 on, 1 out. And Gladden, of course, is a right-handed hitter coming up here. Just ahead of the power after Gladden. Then you've got Puckett and Gaetti. And all 3 of these hitters coming up, as you see Fossas there, number 36, all 3 of the hitters coming up are right-handed. Chuck Krim has been used an awful lot of late. Treblehorn would like to keep from using him.
Of course, the other left-hander that we mentioned that picked up so much of the slack with Ken Herbeck out of the lineup is still on the Twins bench, and that's Randy Bush. We'll not see him till we get down to Carmen Castillo's spot in the lineup.
By the way, Jim Dwyer, who started this, there's Dwyer at the bottom of your picture, the runner at second, number 5. Dwyer is now 4 for 14 as a pinch hitter this year. Here's Dan Gladden. He's 0 for 4. The Twins have 12 hits now, but only 3 runs, a 3-3 tie. Slider, ball 1 to Gladden. Gladden was the first man to face Knutson. Knutson started the 7th inning in relief of Higuera. Gladden fouled out to first against him. 0 for 4. Are the 2 runners. Dwyer up at second and Newman at first. Newman with excellent speed. Base hit into center field. Here comes Dwyer rounding third, being waved home. Here comes a throw from Felder. Too late. And Minnesota has taken a 4-3 lead. And the 40,000 or so at the Metrodome are whooping it up now. Dan Gladden, after going 0 for 4, gets a very big base hit.
Well, we've seen 2 outstanding fastball hitters the Twins have, Gaetti and Gladden. Both get fastballs to hit and produce. Not many quicker getting around that inside fastball than Dan Gladden.
So Gladden 1 for 5. And after a day where the Twins have stranded so many runners, Gladden gets his first hit in a clutch spot in the 8th. Now, here comes the power. Puckett, then Gaetti. The Twins trying to extend their lead. Pickoff play. But Newman back in ahead of the tag by Gary Sheffield. Newman stopping at second. After that base hit by Dan Gladden. 3 consecutive hits for the Twins. They lead 4-3 with 13 hits. Here's Kirby Puckett. He's had 2 hits. Been walked once. He's 2 for 3. Both of his hits have been doubles, including a double against Knutson. Ball 1, very high. Now Jeff Reardon will get up. The stopper, the ace of the Minnesota bullpen. Now they have the lead, and that's when you'll see Reardon in a ballgame. There he is. There's a pickoff at second where Knutson threw a changeup over to Jim Gaetti. One at 0 to Puckett. Kirby Puckett. He's a fine hitter, but he's particularly outstanding in this ballpark. Little bouncer slowly hit towards short. Tough play. Too late at second base. Dan Gladden with great hustle, beats the throw to Gantner, and the bases are loaded for Gary Gaetti. Kirby gets the base hit. He gets a few of those in this ballpark. Turf hit, little bouncer, takes the big bounces on the turn.
Well, he had the middle infielders playing in at double play depth, so Sheffield had a little farther to go to get to that ball, and I really give a lot of credit right here to Dan Gladden's hustle. That's what gets Kirby Puckett an infield hit. Without Gladden hustling into second base, he's going to call himself safe. He knows he's in there.
Now Newman, ball went right past him on his way to third base.
And that angle again shows you Gladden was in there.
So now the bases are loaded, and Knudsen is trying to do a little damage control here. He's already trailing. Gladden hits one. Gaetti hits one deep into left center. Felder is there to make the catch, but tagging and scoring is Newman. Gladden tags and goes to third. It's 5-3 Minnesota. Gaetti, who had homered the last time he faced Knudsen to right center, hits one deep into left center. His third RBI of the day. That's going to do it as the Twins are in a celebratory mood in the dugout. Treblehorn is on his way to the mound. He's bringing in the lefty Tony Fosses. As Treblehorn, his team trailing 5-3 Minnesota. Will be back at the Metrodome by Rolaids. Here's a look at this week's American and National League leaders in the standings for the Rolaids Relief Man Awards. Russell and Eckersley atop the American League. Eckersley, even though he's been out for such a long time, Russell's done a great job in Texas. Franco and San Diego's Mark Davis atop the National League standings. Each have been excellent this year. We'll be tracking total points awarded on the basis of wins, losses, saves, and blown saves. See who would be the Rolaids Relief Man of the Year by the end of the season. Here is Tony Fosses, the left-hander. With a throw to first, Puckett is back. Fosses, an old rookie, has been around a long time. He got his first Major League victory on Thursday, and he waited 10 years out of the minor leagues to get that first Major League victory. And he said that maybe if you've been in the big leagues 5 years or more, it's just another victory. But when you've waited 10 years in the minor leagues to get that first Major League victory, that is a big, big day, and he celebrated. F-O-S-S-A-S, Fosses. He's got Larkin at the plate. The Twins have 2 down, but 2 in. They lead the game 5-3. Runners at first and third. Into the hole and through. Base hit into left field. Coming in to score is Gladden. Puckett goes to second. 6-3 Minnesota.
The guy in your picture right there helps make it happen just by the little things, once again, that we don't always see in the box score. Hustling into second base gives the Twins the bases loaded. Score a run on a sacrifice fly, and now add another one. I mean, that's the guy they're talking about trading to the Dodgers. They can't do that.
Tom Treblehorn saying what to do. What to do.
Well, he knows the Twins are too solid a ball club to think they're going to go through the season and beat them 12 out of 12.
On the other hand, he was ahead 3-1, but he had to take his ace out of there, Higuera. And ordinarily, he wouldn't have taken Higuera out at that point. Higuera's still coming back from that injury, trying to build up his strength for the dog days of summer, which are just about upon us, or will be soon.
The last couple games the Brewers have had really have an effect on this game. Last night, Don August had a lead. He got lifted after 5 innings, got into trouble. They had to use Krim and Plesac. They used him the day before. So as a result, ordinarily they'd have brought Chuck Krim into this game and then used Plesac to start it. They weren't available for that long a time today.
Here is Castillo. Ball 1, outside and high. 1 ball, 1 strike to Castillo. You've got Puckett at second base, Larkin at first. The Twins have 15 hits today. 6-3. The Twins out front, 3 runs home here in the 8th. They got 2 in the 7th. And all of the runs against Mark Knudsen, against his record. Ball 2, 2-1. Higuera went 6 innings. As you see the runners, Puckett up at second and Larkin at first. Higuera went 6 innings, gave up a run and 7 hits, and was leading 3-1, but he had it. And Knudsen not up to it today. Up the middle. Base hit past the diving Sheffield. Here comes another run. Puckett will score. Heading for third, Larkin. The throw from Felder too late. And is back to the bag. Over to second base is Castillo on the throw. 7-3 Minnesota. Now everybody's doing it. And that tells it all right there.
Tom Kelly can change his bullpen plans. He had Jeff Reardon up and throwing, ready to come in and save this game when it was a 1-run lead. Now it's a 4-run lead. Gary Wayne, the left-hander. With the bottom of the Brewers order due up in the 9th, Wayne up and throwing, Reardon back down.
The 9th man to bat this inning, Brian Harper, comes up. He is 2 for 4. Runners at second and third, 2 down. 7-3 Twins. Curve fouled off to the right and back out of play. 0-1 the count to Harper. 16 hits for the Twins with their 7 runs. Milwaukee with 5 hits and 3 runs. In a way, it was like bound to happen, I guess, that the Twins would bust loose as many opportunities as they had earlier. Right center field. Can Felder get to it? Yes, he can. Well, hanging up nicely for him. The inning is finally over. 9 men bat. 4 of them score. 2 stranded. The end of 8, 7-3 the Twins. John Miller and Jim Codd with you at the Metrodome. 9th inning. John Moses into play right field for Minnesota, replacing Carmen Castillo. And the new pitcher is the rookie left-hander Gary Wayne instead of the ace right-hander Jeff Reardon. When it got to be 4-3, Reardon started to warm up, but once the save situation didn't exist, the ball is given to Gary Wayne. And 2 of the 3 Brewers hitters due up in this inning, the first 3 anyway, aren't left-handed hitters. This is the first, B.J. Surhoff. Felder a switch hitter to follow, then Gantner a lefty is due. The pitch is a called strike. 1-1. Gary Wayne, very unorthodox looking delivery.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to throw the ball into the on-deck circle there on the first base side. He's pointed toward the first base foul line, which makes it tough for the lefty to pick up the ball.
There's a called strike. Why does he do that? He kicks the leg out front and kind of detours it there for a minute.
First of all, you know all left-handers are a little different. Do things a little bit weird. Unorthodox, whatever term you want to use.
Well, not this unorthodox. I've seen left-handers, Jim, who don't do that.
Well, there are some, but a lot of left-handers throw what you use the term throw across their body. Watch his front leg will come toward first base. And then somewhere out of the right center field stands is where the ball comes to the hitter.
Does that throw a hitter, you think?
Oh, yeah. He's been very effective on left-hand hitters. His only problem has been what we're in right now, 3-2. Has not been able to consistently throw strikes.
3-2 the count to Surhoff. Down the right field line, that's going to be extra bases. Surhoff around first on his way to second as Moses throws back in. A double for Surhoff. So, no way can you walk the leadoff hitter when you're up by 4. Surhoff got a pitch to hit, and he was right on it. His first hit of the game.
Yeah, and Gary Wayne, Tom Kelly showed great patience with Gary Wayne early in the year. They drafted him off from the Montreal Expos organization in a position where they had to keep him or return him to the Expos. They couldn't send him to AAA. He had some rough outings early in the year. Kelly stayed with him, and he's really pitched well lately. When he gets ahead of hitters, he has a good breaking ball to polish him off with.
Here's Felder, switch hitter, now batting right-handed. Ball 1, and Tiny's had a pretty good game. He has twice gotten the Brewers going with base hits. He scored 2 runs, 2 for 3 today. He's batting .275 at the moment. Surhoff there at second, nobody out. There's a called strike. Well, now Jeff Reardon is warming up again.
Yeah, and relief pitchers don't like to do that. They've learned to overcome it. But once you get up and you're physically and mentally ready to come in the game, and then you're asked to sit back down, it's a little different situation, a little more of a challenge to get back up there, both physically and mentally.
Felder bluffs the bunt. Brewers need base runners. The count now is 2-1. Well, let me ask you this then. Here's the question. Pitchers hate to do that. Reardon was warmed up. Why not just use him anyway?
Well,
why not bring him out there even if it's not a safe situation?
Normal circumstances he would, but he pitched an inning in last night's ball game.
Way outside. 3-1. Well, he may get in there in a minute.
Yeah, he will be in a minute. But Tom Kelly was saying, hey, I've got a chance to not use my ace today and save him for tomorrow's game to save it. But if Wayne doesn't get the ball over the plate, he's going to have to bring him in anyway.
There's Tom Kelly. He's had great success using Reardon the way he's used it the last 3 seasons. Reardon has been one of the best. 3-1 and a strike. 3-2. Felder didn't think so.
Oh, we saw it with Joe Brinkman behind the plate last night, the home plate umpire, and now Terry Cooney today. A very slow, delayed call, unenthusiastic call. And sometimes a hitter waits for the call, starts toward first base, not really trying to show the umpire up.
Full count. Let's see if Larkin can get to it. Near the dugout. And he disappeared. I guess he got it. Yes, he did. Crowd over on the third base side, the left field side. They saw it. They started to cheer. Nice play by Gene Larkin.
Our catchers and first basemen, infielders, when they get near that dugout, this is what their reflexes tell them to do. Slide like they're sliding into base. Nice catch by Larkin. Might have a little turf burn when he gets into the clubhouse, but he'll accept that for the out.
The warning track over there is plastic. There's no dirt over there. There's a called strike into the left-handed hitting Jim Gantner. 1 out. A runner at second. 9th inning, 7-3. The Twins lead the Brewers. Gantner today is 1 for 3. He doubled home a run back in the 5th. Surhoff, number 5, over there at second base. And breaking ball is in the dirt. Harper stops it. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Metrodome on the artificial turf. And I've often wondered, Jim, why don't they put the dirt where they're supposed to be dirt? I mean, dirt is not going to die indoors like grass.
Tried it in the Astrodome as well as Busch Stadium for a couple years. Had the dirt infield, the base paths.
1-1 the count. And the slider in there for a called strike 2. Monitor is on deck. But the infield is painted on as if this is just a gigantic game board. There's little boxes of dirt around the bases, but you can see there they paint the rest of it on. Why not just put dirt out there? Why not just break down and buy some dirt and get rid of some of that turf and put dirt where they're supposed to be dirt? I feel strongly about this, Jim.
I understand that.
1-2 pitch down the left field line, but Gladden had him played properly. Out number 2. He was guarding that line, and that's where Gantner hit it. 2 down. And
Gantner discussed it. I don't think he liked the call from Terry Cooney on the strike 2 breaking ball. Talking about feeling strongly. Big league teams feel strongly about positioning their outfielders. They've got charts that show them where different hitters hit the ball. Dan Gladden caught that ball almost in foul territory.
Well, here's Reardon. He's coming in. Try and get the final out before big trouble arises. 7-3. 2 down. Monitor coming up. Reardon coming in. We'll be back. Jeff Reardon throwing a strike on a breaking ball to Paul Monitor. This is not a save situation. There would have to be 1 more base runner out there for it to be a save situation. So Reardon cannot add to his total of saves. Monitor is strike 2. He foul-tipped it. Reardon brought in to try and get the final out. Shouldn't take too much out of his arm if he can retire Monitor without having to go through the lineup a ways here. They just need the 1 out. He's been hot lately. He was really struggling early on. Too high. 1-2.
And the Brewers are the team that got him struggling. A very dramatic 2-run homer that Rob Deere hit off him early in the year. So this is a pleasant opportunity for Jeff Reardon and the Twins. They haven't had this chance very often this year.
And Gaetti gets it. Going to have to hurry. In time, the ball game is over. And for the first time in 7 tries, the Minnesota Twins emerge victorious against their regional arch rival, the Milwaukee Brewers. 7-3. They had to come from behind to do it. And the series is now even at a game apiece. Reardon wraps it up, and he was able to do it rather easily. He threw only 4 pitches to get the victory for Lee Tunnell.